Welcome in, everybody, to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. That means one thing. It's Supernatural News and Parashare Day. It's one of our favorite days of the week. Why? Well, one, because we get to laugh, have a little fun, and we get to learn a little something along the way. Two, because it's Parashare Day, we get to, if you happen to send in your emails, and by the way, you can do that by going and typing up your experience and sending it in to tim@darknessradio.com on ye old email, and we'll read it right here, and we'll weigh in on it as well, myself and the co-host of the week, which, by the way, is... I'll tell you in a second. But we get to share your experiences here on the air. And then three, well, by gosh, we just have fun here on Wednesday, and we get to be with you guys. So that's the third thing. So let's, without further ado, bring in our guest host. It's the guest host that can we say we love him the most? I think we can by now. It's the BCB, the big cuddly bear. It's the Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser? You're now, you're not in the Beer City anymore. We should call you the CSB, the Coleslaw Bruiser, because you're in a totally different part of the country, one that loves that slaw, buddy.
Yeah, they took the Midwesterner out of the Midwest. Now I'm an East Coast boy. And Tim, I was telling you the other day we were doing true crime that coleslaw on a burger, who'd have thought? It's delicious.
It kind of is, yeah.
It is. It's amazing here.
Yeah. Now, do you find with coleslaw on a burger, is it the creamy mayo or is it the vinegary portion?
It's the creamy mayo.
Yeah.
Is what they use here. Yeah. But their barbecue sauce is that vinegary liquid. It's not as thick as we have there in the Midwest. So
yeah,
I'm getting used to that.
Yeah, there's a little something to get used to. I'm more of a sweet barbecue type guy. Like, I'll tell you, I'm going to give a plug real quick here while you're talking. Over the weekend, I went to my favorite barbecue spot, which is Jelly Bean and Julia's over in Anoka.
Okay.
And Corey is the owner and pit master over there, and a brother of mine, man. He just, this guy, I tell you. And one of the great things about Jelly Bean and Julia's, you don't ever have to worry about what it is you're putting in your body over there. Yeah. He uses
good food.
The best ingredients. I mean, just the best ingredients. There's no, he's not feeding you junk. He's even the bread and the buns and the tortillas that they're making over there, they're making from organic flour that they're buying from a couple that's local. Everything is locally sourced.
So that's amazing. I love locally sourced. There's a lot of those around here.
Yeah.
Which I love going to.
So he's doing everything right over there. And that restaurant is always full because the food is just so good there. So I go over there, when I'm coming from St. Cloud after I do my shift every other Saturday over there, KNSI, it's just a treat for me. I'll go over there. I'll pick up some brisket.
Yep, and brisket's amazing.
Oh my God, it's so good. And they love
me a good brisket.
They do it so good. You got the crust on the outside. You get that nice smoke ring. That it's just perfect. It's just perfect. They do it so perfect over there. And normally he makes an apple bourbon barbecue sauce.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Oh, it's so good, Bruiser. So good. And this time he was in. Sometimes he's in on Saturdays when I get there. Sometimes he's not. He's out on a supply run when I get there. But he happened to be there this time. And he said, "Hey, Tim, I made a new sauce." I said, "Yeah?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to send you a sample home so you could try it." He said, "It's a Dr. Pepper sauce."
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Nice and sweet with that little bit of cherry. Okay.
Yeah, right? So I was like, ooh, I can't wait, right? So I get home, I sit down, and the twins are on. So I'm sitting down, and you have a choice when you order brisket by the bulk. So you can either get white bread or tortillas. Now the way that Corey does his barbecue, he does it Southwestern style, so it's Texas style, right?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And kind of like you would get it in Austin, Texas.
Oh, yeah. I've had Texas barbecue in Texas.
Oh, so. Yeah. So right?
Yep.
Right
there in San Antonio. Oh,
Yep.
Shane Taylor is a master of Texas barbecue. So
really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh.
He took us to the right places.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? When you walk in, you can see the smoker, and you just smell the meat.
Yes.
I don't care what I eat, just give me something.
Yes. That's exactly the way it is there over at Jelly Bean and Julia. So, I get my to-go package. You know, I get home and I tear into it, and I've got the TV on, and I sit down. My mouth is watering, and I make myself a little brisket sandwich. And I put the it's nothing but just the meat, because you also get jalapeno pepper and onion mix with it too if you want. I'm not a huge pepper guy, but the one thing I do like, I also get corn fritters with jalapeno jelly on them.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's not too spicy, but just enough. Yep.
Right, and I love the jalapeno jelly. Yeah, that's the one thing I do like, even though I'm not crazy about jalapenos. It's just perfect, though. The right amount of fire and sweet, it's perfect. And I'm a wuss when it comes to fire. I can't take it.
Me too.
Yes, exactly. So I've got my corn fritters. I've got my brisket sandwich. I'm sitting down, and I take that first bite of the brisket sandwich with the Dr. Pepper sauce. Bruiser, I'm in heaven, man. I'm just in heaven. I'm telling you. And so I hit him up real quick on the gram, and I slide into his DMs, and I'm like, Corey, man, this is awesome. You have no idea, man. You have no idea. And he's like, well, I'm glad you like it. And so at this point, I'm making business plans for him. I've got him in different places all over the Twin Cities. I'm expanding his empire. And he's like, dude, I'm just trying to rest, really. I mean, it's
a long day,
kind
man.
of my half day off here, for the rest of the week. But, so shout out to Jelly Bean and Julia's over at in Anoka. I'm telling you, if you're in the Twin Cities area and you get a chance, head over there and try some of that barbecue. They've got so much more. They also do breakfast in a way that will blow your mind. But
especially if it's Southwest style.
Oh yeah.
So if he makes a good biscuits and gravy, I'm assuming.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Here. Oh, biscuits, freshly homemade. Everybody has them. They're amazing. They're real buttery. They fall apart in your mouth. Oh, I love them.
On Wednesdays, I'm sorry, I got to tell you, brisket wontons.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm getting so hungry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. What you're going to say.
No, you can interrupt for brisket.
But
I think I'm going to have to take my wife and my mother-in-law. We're going to have to find a barbecue place around. There's one right up the road that somebody says is the best around, and they're fairly inexpensive.
But and see, Corey offers all kinds of different sauces. I mean, he'll do a sriracha sauce. He'll do he'll do sweeter sauces. He offers all these different kind of off the wall type sauces for whatever taste palette you have.
That's how you know it's a good barbecue place, when you walk in and they have literally like a gun rack full of sauce.
Yeah.
You can get across the board, like you were just saying. That's how you know you're in the right barbecue place.
Yep.
Because they have something for everybody.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I think if somebody just said to me, you have one choice, Tim, for the rest of your life, you have one choice, one place you can go to eat for the rest of your life, it would be that place. That would be it. It'd be Jelly Bean and Julia's. Huh? Oh, yeah. Rest of my life, that's where I'd eat.
Well, I'm going to have to get booked in the Twin Cities and go eat there. Visit you, of course.
You get booked here. I'm taking you there. We're going to go do dinner over there, because that
sounds good.
Yeah, that's where we're going to go eat, buddy. That's it right there. So that was one of my weekend experiences. The other one, interestingly enough, Bruiser helped me out with an interesting situation, folks. I'm sorry. I was gonna ask you about the move. Let's focus on the move here first, and then I'll tell our listeners about an interesting experience I had this weekend on the paranormal.
Was good.
side.
The move was great. The cat was well behaved. We got down here, and we'd already moved a bunch of stuff in, so now it was just getting the rest of the stuff in. I'm where I'm recording is obviously you can hear it. It's not set to record yet, but I missed the fan, so. I'm here, but it was a great move. I love this house. I love this town. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday on Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, you were telling me everyone's pretty friendly.
Yes. My wife has got to get used to that because she's used to the Midwest, the Milwaukee, the Chicago, St. Paul, Minneapolis. She's used to that where everyone's in a hurry. Everyone needs to get someplace, Down here, I mean, we're the South, and you're on your own schedule. Everyone's really polite. It's a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, y'all. And she went to go return something the other day, and she was so mad because the line was going so slow because the lady just wanted to sit and talk to the customers. And I said, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right, yeah.
You're supposed to be friendly and hey, how's it going? How are you? And she
right.
goes, well, I was busy. I was in a hurry. I'm like, slow down then. Yeah, everyone here is really friendly. Oh, this happened last night after we got done recording. I got told directions in an unusual way.
Really?
Yeah, I asked, I was looking, we have to get we have so many boxes, I'm just taking it straight to the dump to get rid of them. We have to get these little cards, and they're called garb cards, and you're $4, and that's how you can get access and all that.
Okay.
So I asked the gentleman, where do I get one of these garb cards? He says, well, you drive on down here on Oak. Then when you see the lumberjack, you take a right. I want you to drive all the way down and you see a big yellow dog. Take a left there. There's a convenience store right there. And I said, what roads are these? He's like, trust me, lumberjack, turn right. Yellow dog, turn left. Okay. Driving down, there's a statue of a lumberjack on someone's yard. Okay, there must be a lumberjack. I turn. Sure enough, there's a big yellow lab just chilling out in this front yard. So I turn again. So I asked the cashier, I says, that dog, he's like, oh yeah. He's like, that dog that never moves. He's sitting there. Why, did somebody give you directions to turn this way at the yellow dog? I said, yeah. So okay, cool. Wow. Yeah. So the cashier who is from he's from the West Coast.
Okay.
He told me, he's like, you got to get used to the southern directions. I'm like, I guess so.
Huh. So do they offer Southern GPS on your phone?
I should look it up. See, that'd be awesome.
That would be something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because, I guess Southern GPS would be a lot different than what we're used to. That's for sure.
It is.
Huh. That's funny.
Yeah. And what was so weird is I accepted the directions as they were. I didn't press them. Okay. Yeah. And sure enough, lumberjack, turn right, yellow dog, turn left. I got to where I needed to be.
Probably better than what you would have got on your phone.
Probably.
Yeah. Huh.
I was expecting to just, this is the convenience store. You get it at. And I can just put it in my phone and off I go. Nope. This is how you get there.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Did Mrs. Bruiser throw a small fit after you got those directions?
No, she was just as confused as I was.
Yeah.
And she's the one that spotted the yellow dog. Because I'm like, what is a yellow dog? Like, she was right there. We should go pet it. I'm like, we're not petting a yellow dog that everyone obviously knows. We don't know if it's friendly or not. We just know it's a landmarker for everybody.
Well, I got to think the dog is just as nice as everybody else.
I'm assuming, but I'm not. Again, this is the Midwestern in me. I just don't want to walk up to a random dog and start petting it,
Yeah, very true. Very true. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting stuff. So
but now because of that yellow dog, I promised the wife we'd adopt a dog. So,
Aww.
Yeah. So in the next within about a month, I'll make the announcement on the show when we get our new addition to the family. Nice.
Well, we're looking forward to that. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. So this weekend, I tried not to bother you. I knew that you were still getting stuff in the house, that things were going on. A friend of mine who's very reliable. He is never, ever, how should I put this? Very trustworthy. As far as I know, never fibbed to me, never lied to me, never led me astray. Okay. Mm-hmm. Has a stellar background. Okay. And I can't tell you how I know this. I just know this. Okay.
So he's what you would call a good brother. He's the underwater needlepoint.
Exactly. Yes. In the underwater needlepoint, he would be known as a good brother. He gets a hold of me and he says, "Hey there, Tim, I'm on vacation. I'm in Nevada. I'm on vacation." And I stopped by Art Bell's grave. And Which
is cool in itself. That's
very cool.
Just amazing.
Yeah. So he's in Pahrump, Nevada. And he sends me a picture. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And he also sent the picture to another good brother who said, hey there, dum-dum, did you notice that you have that huge orb on your chest? And I'm talking huge. Like this thing probably goes from nipple level to belly button. I mean, it's huge, right?
It is, yeah.
And it took up, I mean, almost the entire midsection.
Yeah, it was his whole stomach, yeah.
Yeah, so normally when and it's the middle of the day, we should qualify this. It wasn't at night. He didn't go out there on some spooky expedition. He was just your average tourist. You know, he went to a lot of different places. He went to the Hard Rock Cafe. He went to, different UFO hotspots and tourist areas. And he was just doing the touristy thing, doing his thing out there out west. Well, he said, "Oh, so-and-so just messaged me and said there's an orb on my chest, and I guess there is." And I said, "Well, that's interesting." So I got a hold of two different friends of mine. Both are photographers and both are into the paranormal. And I said, "Well, you take a look at this and tell me," because it was interesting. It had a little signature, like a little energy signature around the orb, and I blew it up and I couldn't see like a bug or anything inside the orb. So I thought this is really weird, but I also didn't see little energy signature lines inside the orb either, which might indicate that it would be like any type of spirit. And let me explain to you guys something. There at one time, there's a famous photo or two of Chris Fleming, where he put his hands out and he psychically summoned a spirit and said, "If you're here and with me now, materialize yourself in between my hands." Okay. And when he did this, he had somebody photograph him like at a high shutter speed and multiple photographs. And there's a picture of an orb, and it's got these pictures of these. It almost looks like lightning going through the different places of the orb. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's got energy signatures running through the orb, which can't be explained. You just can't explain it. And there's multiple shots, and there's also metadata in the different shots to show you that they are indeed different shots.
Is it growing? The photos go on? Does it look
changes,
like it grows?
Yeah, because he changes his hand position.
Okay.
So it moves with his hand. Okay.
Gotcha. Yep.
So, so I thought, okay, well, this is interesting. So I say to my buddy, I said, that's really interesting. And so I talked to the two photographer friends of mine. One says, well, it kind of looks a little bit like a light anomaly to me, but I just don't know where it would be because the light is shining from the back of his head. Mm-hmm. And that looks like if it were a light anomaly, it would be shining up from somewhere. And I don't know where that light source would be coming from because he's in shadow from the front. I said, oh, okay, I got you. And it's not, there's nothing really bouncing from anywhere. So I said, okay, I get what you're coming from. So I'm looking for like different places where the light could be bouncing from. I'm not really seeing anything, so I'm kind of not getting it. But I'm not getting overexcited either. I'm like, I want to believe that this is something, but I'm like, but yet there's something strange about this photo. Something's not adding up. So second friend of mine says, well, you know what? Maybe this this orb is photoshopped. And I said, no, I don't think this would be photoshopped. I know the character of this person that sent this to me, and he wouldn't be deceitful enough to send me a photoshopped photo. Besides, he didn't notice the orb.
Right.
To begin with. It was another friend of his that said, hey, did you realize you have an orb on your chest?
Right.
And on your midsection. So he didn't even discover it. He didn't even know it was there. And he's on vacation. It was just told to him. And he's still in Nevada. So they said, well, if it's not photoshopped, then it has to be some sort of light anomaly. I don't think that that's supernatural at all. So I said, okay. So I thought, well, I'm going to get a hold of Bruiser. And I said, I'm going to put a totally different set of eyes on this. Mm-hmm. You solved it in about 2 minutes.
Yep.
If that. It wasn't even that much.
And it wasn't just me. It was actually Mrs. Bruiser that solved it.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like you. I was trying to break down, because when you sent it to me, I did what you did. Okay, if it's a light anomaly where the zoom in, I did everything you did because that's the way we think,
Yep.
And she's the one that goes, that's from the sun behind him. I said, what do you mean? So she had taken a picture of me and my cat when we were driving down, moving everything. Just hey, we're moving, yay. And the way the sun is hitting me, we replicated the picture essentially that you had sent me. And it had the same anomaly, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
So I had sent that picture to you going, Tim, this is what I think it is. And I'd sent the picture of me with my cat to you, and we could see it's almost an identical, and it turns out you said they both had the same phone and all that and whatnot. So we debunked it pretty good. But yeah, she's the one that noticed, because on my picture, it's on my arm. It looks like it's on my arm.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way the sun is. Yeah.
The orb is on your shoulder, is on your right shoulder. You're in the driver's seat of your car. Your cat is sitting, it's off to your right. Your cat is sitting off to your right. You're looking at the cat. The cat's looking at you. The sun is coming over your head.
Left shoulder.
Over your left shoulder.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. It's over my head, because when we broke down your friend's picture, the sun's actually above his head.
Yep.
It's just not in frame.
Right. It's not in frame. It's coming over his head, and it's a little more, it's higher in the sky. Yours was more directly over your head.
Yep. Yeah, I think he was more later in the day, where I was more in the morning. But it was what the way that we noticed it was the same as, it formed the same pattern on my body that it had on his body.
Right.
And like I literally, when I had some time later on, I actually took the two pictures, and I can do that pic collage, and I put them next to each other and kind of broke it down. I'm like, yep, I think we're right. This is,
yep.
As cool as it would be, especially where he was on such a historical, paranormal, someone of the paranormal field. Art Bell is. Oh, he's one of the OGs.
He's the man, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So up until then, my buddy was thinking that maybe either Art Bell had taken an interest to him, or he was afraid that Art was coming home with him. I was trying to tell him that neither one was going on as far as I was concerned. We thought that maybe it was just a light anomaly. Then when you really take a look at it, you notice that the oval is almost the same shape as the oval of his picture on the gravestone. But then trying to figure out how the angle would work, that would be a light refraction, is the angle is almost impossible. But somehow, with how the iPhone works, it took that refraction of that picture. So I don't know. It's bizarre, but it's an interesting and cool picture, that's for sure. To make it look like,
it's a great picture that can be debated for years to come.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, from what I saw, I think it's just a light anomaly.
It is. Yeah. It's a classic sun flare orb.
Yes.
Taken in the middle of the day that looks like it could be something incredibly spooky. And if anybody were at a graveyard, they could say, oh my gosh, it's the spirit of Art Bell, and he's there trying to communicate with your friend. But it's clearly not.
Right.
It's clearly not.
It's still a great picture, because you can see Art Bell's headstone, and it's a beautiful headstone. And it's just it's a really good picture.
Yeah, and so it was interesting. It was interesting. So yeah, that was an interesting thing that happened over the weekend that I just kind of wanted to bring up to you guys and say, hey, you know what? Sometimes you get hit with something that you go, you absolutely want to shout out to the world that, hey, I got this thing that I think might be paranormal, but you really have to kind of take a breath and calm yourself down and really break it down to figure out what it is. So.
Well, that's like when you and I were talking off air, and you said, well, how's the house? Anything happening? Are you curious? And I told you, I said, I hear stuff, but I think it's just the house settling because we're moving around. So I'm going to give it a month. And then once we're all settled, then I'll really pay attention, because I don't want to blow it out of proportion right now. Because when you move stuff into a house, it changes the weight and it shifts and houses move. And I think it's just that, but we'll see in a month,
Speaking of, that's a great segue, Bruiser.
That's why I did it. I knew you were going to cover these.
We before you left to take the break there to move the house, we were reading stories about 33 paranormal experiences people have had after moving into a new house, and we had gone through half of them to kind of get you geared up to move into this new house. But we can finish those stories if you'd like.
Oh, definitely.
Just to get you kind of keyed up and looking around to see if maybe you see some of the same things that are there. Let's continue those stories, shall we? Number 16, one night I was sleeping and woke up to a noise coming from my desk. It sounded like someone was shuffling papers, but it was so loud that I remember waking up in a panic. There was no one else in my room but me. I yelled for my mom, and as soon as she opened up my door and turned on the light, the noise stopped. I told my mom what happened, and she said it was probably a dream and go back to bed. Years later, she told me that she had actually found papers scattered all over the floor, but picked them up before I could see. I think we did read that one last time, so we'll start off with that one. But
does that can you use that as a ghost ate my homework?
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what that one is. Yes, yeah. Number 17, I was watching Ancient Aliens, and the episode I was watching had me literally questioning my beliefs. Then out of the corner of my eye, I saw a black dot moving from one end of the room to the other. I chalked it up to a bug, even though it was moving very fast and perfectly linear. A few seconds later, some paintings I had above my fireplace started swinging, and 2 vases fell off my mantle. I took it as a message and immediately changed the channel to Modern Family. Of course you did.
The ghost does not like Ancient Aliens. It's the guy's hair. The guy's hair bugs the ghost.
Sucralosa's hair? Yep. I've never watched another episode of Ancient Aliens since then, even though the show is phenomenal.
Oh, poor person.
Maybe they don't like the narration. Yeah, the you know what I mean. They don't like the message that's being put forward. They're hard Christian ghosts in your house. Number 8.
There's just ghosts. There's no aliens, according to that ghost.
That's right.
Just ghosts.
Just ghosts. Number 18, the most terrifying experience I've had was when I was home alone one day and was watching TV in my parents' room. All of a sudden, I heard a woman's voice calling my name sweetly from the hallway outside. I went out and checked, and no one was there. I closed the door, and this voice called me again. I checked the whole house to see if anyone was home, but again, no one. When I got back to the room, the woman started to call my name again, only angrier. I was so freaking scared.
I'd get scared if I hear a sweet voice yelling at me. Normally it's just Mrs. Bruiser yelling and scolding me for something.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have Mrs. Bruiser yelling at me than a ghost from beyond, that's for sure.
That's true, yeah.
Number 19, I lived in a house where the owner had previously died. My ex-husband was abusive, and once as he punched the wall next to my head, I felt a hand cup my ear and something whisper my name. I then felt 2 hands on my shoulder, and my ex stopped his outburst. I always felt protected by it, whoever it was. I often felt the hand on my shoulder when my ex-husband was at his worst, but I somehow knew it would be okay. I've since divorced him, moved to the Southeast, remarried, and we have a 20-month-old. I haven't felt it since moving out of that house and away from him.
Oh.
That's not a bad story.
No. Now, would you think that's a guardian angel or a spirit? What do you think?
It might. I tend to go towards spirit, and okay. It may actually be the spirit of someone who might have been abused in the past.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just there to lend support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 20, I was home alone watching TV in the living room, and I heard a loud noise coming from the bathroom. It sounded like pill bottles being thrown to the floor from the medicine chest. When I got up to check the bathroom, there was nothing on the floor, but medicine cabinet was open.
Oh. Well, at least the ghost cleaned up after itself.
Yeah. I'm in a rage.
How do I find a cleaning ghost? Save me some time.
There's one at the Stanley Hotel, Mrs. Wilson.
Yeah.
She was the one who cleaned up behind Stephen King.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Stephen King suite. She didn't clean up after me when I stayed in it, but of course I left ESPN on all night so that she wouldn't appear, but
she didn't like it, huh?
No, she didn't like the da-da-da, da-da-da. She was like, enough already, I'm leaving.
You clean up your own shit.
That's right. Number 21, when I first moved into my current apartment, I would always close my bedroom door at night and shut down and close my laptop before I went to bed. Almost every night for the first few weeks, my bedroom door would open on its own while I was sleeping. I'm a light sleeper, so the sound of it opening would wake me up. Then suddenly I would hear my laptop start playing whatever Netflix show or sometimes a random movie I'd have saved in my computer at full volume, even though it had been shut down. And I'd never use it that loud. I'd have to get up, turn it off, and lock my door again. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
So a ghost wanted to Netflix and chill. That's just no.
But it wanted you to feel safe because it was opening the door. So
yeah, exactly.
Only Netflix and chill is happening. Nothing else.
Nothing else. No. Number 22, I was in the upstairs bedroom watching TV with my son, and we both had turned to look at the door. We thought we saw my husband open the door slightly, pop his head in, and leave as though he had forgotten something. I remember seeing that he had a hoodie and the hood was up. I thought it was weird because my husband hated hoodies, and I've never known him to own one. But then I thought maybe he forgot something in the car and he'd be right back. I didn't think anything of it, and we kept watching TV until my husband came in, and I asked him if he'd gone out to get something outside. He was confused. He had been playing video games downstairs the entire time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Crazy doppelganger again.
Yes, indeed. 23, after my grandma passed away and the power was cut off to her house, my family and I went back to make sure everything was cleared out. Out of habit, we accidentally hit the ceiling fan switch, not thinking anything of it, and all of a sudden the fan started spinning. The ceiling fan hadn't worked in the house in like 10 years. It was really creepy.
Grandma fixed it. Hey, she said she'd get around to it. She just didn't say when.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I fixed it. Yay. Number 24, my mom and I moved into my stepdad's house after his mother died, and the house was completely haunted. Like one time I lost a $20 bill in my room. Are you all right back there?
Yeah, I hit my ring on the
okay. Desk. I was going to say, it is haunted. I told you.
Yeah, I took a drink of water and I tried not to make a sound, and I hit my ring on the desk.
Let me start over here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you with my hauntedness.
My mom and I moved into my stepdad's house after his mother died, and the house was completely haunted. Like one time I lost a $20 bill in my room, and my mom was helping me look for it. We tore my room apart looking, but couldn't find it. I decided to look under the bed again while my mom looked on the shelf that was in my headboard. Neither one of us saw it, so we started to give up. But just then, I glanced at the headboard shelf one more time and saw the bill sitting on top of a book in plain sight. I asked my mom if she had found it and put it there, but she denied it. She thought I had put it there and was pulling a prank on her because she had just checked that spot 2 minutes earlier. She got so freaked out that she wouldn't come into my room for a week afterwards.
Why not? You can make $20 every time you go in his room.
Yeah. I mean, it's magic money.
It's the ATM ghost.
That's right. Number 25, I was in my bed in my house, which I had just moved into a few months prior. My room was up on the upper floor and had a large walk-in dormer closet attached with access to the attic crawl space. I was close to falling asleep, in that half-awake state where sometimes if something is loud enough, it sort of creeps into your dreams. Suddenly, from inside the closet, I heard a deep old woman's voice say either, "Come in here now," or "I'm in here now." I sat up yelling. The worst part, my elderly neighbor directly across the street had died 2 days earlier. The family had left her stained mattress on the curb for pickup.
Oh, isn't that a biohazard?
Yeah.
Dude, we're just going to let her free within the universe. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That couldn't smell good or anything.
No.
There's nothing good about a decaying body.
I'm trying to remember what we did with my stepdad's mattress. I'm trying to remember what the coroner said we were supposed to do with it.
Gave it to Goodwill.
Yes, yeah. We didn't even wash it or nothing.
Nope, you just gave it away.
They were like, "Ooh, this smells bad." We're like, "Yeah, B.O." Oh, I don't know.
Don't judge us. We're helping the community.
That's right. It's a free bed. What are you talking about? Number 26. I have and still do on occasion hear a child say, "Mom," when I have to put my son to bed. And it happens whenever I am in the house, behind the chair I'm sitting in the entryway, in the kitchen, and so on. My husband has been around for 2 of the times this has happened and really hates that we live here now. I grew up in this. Can you imagine you're just in the middle of doing it and you hear, "Mom"? I grew up in this house, so I know nothing sinister has happened here, but I do work in a children's hospital. Maybe somebody came home with me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be sinister if it's saying "mom." I mean, it could just be a child,
Yeah. But, the most inopportune times you hear, "Mom."
I just like how he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to live here anymore. I don't care if you grew up here." Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we started dating, you didn't mention you lived in a haunted house.
Yeah. "Oh, baby, you're looking good tonight. I'm going to tear that up." And "Mom!" Shit.
Where were we?
Number 27. When I was a baby, my uncle shot himself in my grandparents' house.
Oh, that's not good.
No, that's inconsiderate. He ended up dying from the injuries. Several years ago, my grandmother passed away, and since I was the only one in the family who didn't already have a house, my son, 6 years old at the time, and I moved in. The first night we stayed there, I walked down the stairs from the second floor, and my son was waiting at the bottom. He looked behind me and asked who that guy behind me was, but it was just the two of us. I didn't know it at the time, but my son and my deceased uncle had the same birthday, which was a weird coincidence. I believe it was him who my son saw.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if he killed himself in that house.
Yeah. Number 28, I used to live in a beautiful heritage house, and one morning while I was sitting in the breakfast nook having my coffee, an older man in a shiny green suit appeared sitting across from me. He was very tall and handsome and looked kind. He had gray hair. From time to time, I'd see this man leaning against the sink in my kitchen. Every time he'd just look at me and then walk into the hallway. A year or so later, my brother came to visit, and one night he had a cigarette out on the patio at around 2 a.m. The next day, he said to me, "So last night I was having a smoke and I thought your husband was in the kitchen. But when I looked in the window, it was a tall man in a green suit. He just leaned against the sink and then walked away. Yep, that was my ghost. I actually missed living there, and he kept me company."
Yep, that's my ghost.
That's my ghost.
Sounds like a pretty cool, dapper ghost, too.
Yeah.
He's just chilling.
Nice green suit. Yeah. Having some coffee. Just chilling. Yeah.
How's everything? Cool.
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 My ghost is just, hanging out.
Yeah.
I have chipmunks. That lady has a ghost. Just saying. I was out feeding Swish this morning. It was just nice.
Yeah.
I've got them trained now, Bruiser, to the point where I'll take a couple handfuls of almonds out with me. Something's going on this year with the weather.
Okay.
I'll tell you this much. I mean, we've had a cool summer.
Yeah.
But they are storing up seeds like crazy. So
they know.
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's nuclear war or we're having winter early, but something's going on.
Well, you're in Minnesota, so there's always winter early.
Yeah. But they're going nuts. They're just, I mean, it's back and forth because we've got sunflower seeds set out. So if it's not sunflower seeds, then they come up to us for almonds. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you get the raw almonds, not salted, because we don't want them to have little tiny blood pressure cuffs on their paws.
You don't want their cholesterol to get too high.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't want to have chipmunk doctors called in. So, he'll come up to me and I'll give him, he can fit, this is how my boy, he can fit 6 almonds in his pouch.
Oh, he's a pro.
He is, yeah.
He's a master.
He is a master. So,
are there babies? Do they have the babies?
He's one of the babies. The oldest chipmunk is Chip, and she's had, and Swish is one of her babies. She had Swish like 2 years ago. But see, here's the thing: chipmunks are solitary creatures.
Right.
So they have the babies, and like 8 weeks later, they kick them out, and if they ever see them again, they'll kick their ass. It's true, they do.
But yet mom and son come to you for food. Do they ever see each other?
Oh, they do, and they fight.
Okay.
Yeah, they fight over food.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're holding true to the,
yeah.
I kicked you out of the house, kid.
Yep. Yep. Now you're my enemy.
Yes.
I give you an almond. Now you must go. So that's kind of how life amongst the chipmunks is. It's not like Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. They don't all get together and form a band. That's not how it happens.
I think it should. Well, so we really can't have a chipmunk band because they don't like each other.
No, they would hit each other with the guitars. It'd be like El Kabong. So Swish comes up. I give him 6 almonds. Well, I'm out. I normally put them in the pouch of my sweatshirt, and then and he just knows that the pouch of my sweatshirt is magical. That, almonds come from the pouch of my sweatshirt.
Yeah.
But now I've showed him that if I put my hands out and say, all gone, no more Swish, all gone, then he gives me that look like, oh, all gone. Like
it's the end of the world.
Yeah, that's the end of the world. But if I just show him, all gone, Swish, all gone, then he knows all gone. Then he goes back to his crib.
Okay.
Yeah. Or he goes over to the dish with the sunflower seeds and he loads up, and then he goes back to his crib. So
now he's not a father yet, is he?
I don't know.
Because maybe that's why he's storing up. Maybe.
Well, no, they don't.
Missus is pregnant.
They don't. The fathers don't store. They're kind of deadbeat dads. They don't store up for the kids.
Oh, they store up from. Okay.
No, they store up for themselves.
So he's just. Having a good time.
It's the mothers that take care of the kids alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is the men just hit it and quit it.
That's right, man. They're pimps. They're chip pimps.
Look, I hooked you up. I'm out now.
That's right. You got a little bit of this chip seed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then that's it. They gather seeds and they give seeds. And that's it. That's
what a life.
Life of a male chipmunk. So when you hear Chippendale dancers, now you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should just start hitting each other. That's what should happen. They should just start hitting each other.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be dancing with each other.
Yeah.
Half naked.
They should start. You should actually, when you go to the male strip club, to the Chippendale dancers, you should bring almonds with you instead of dollar bills.
Yes.
And just say, I feed my chipmunks this way. Almonds should be good enough.
Yeah.
Because almonds are like the crack of the chipmunk world.
And don't take them home because they're gonna hit it and quit it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Almonds are like a $50 bill to a chipmunk.
See, you ladies, you could be the belle of the ball. You stop at a gas station on the way, get unsalted almonds. There's like 50 of them in there? You know, run the club.
Even better, go to the grocery store, get you a big bag. We're talking like the big raw almonds. Get raw dog it, if you will. Get you a big bag, like the big 24-ounce bags.
Yeah,
you could sit there all night long.
Do you think a woman doing that at a Chippendale club is like you and I going to a strip club and throwing quarters at the strippers?
That's exactly what it is.
And these guys, they got to understand, those almonds are high in protein. If they got to maintain that physique, they need a lot of protein.
That's right.
The women are just helping them.
That's right. That's right.
And they're getting them ready for winter.
And when you call them over, just go, come here, buddy.
Waving your almond in the air.
And you kind of slap your knee. Come here, bud. Come on. I
don't know the next time we'll be in a male strip club, but now I'm going to start looking, see what any ladies will show.
Yeah. And go, I got almonds. Come on, bud.
And then when you're on almonds, you just say, that's it, I'm done.
Then hold up your hands and go, all gone, stripper, all gone. And
then he just kind of dances over to the next one, right?
And he dances over to the next one. Yep. That's exactly how it works. Yeah.
Now, should they have the almonds for the stage show, or should they save that for a lap dance?
Ooh, see, I would think that you would crush up the almonds on a lap dance. I think that's more for the general stage.
Okay. Yeah. So you can do sunflower seeds for the lap dance.
Yeah, exactly. It probably would hurt you and the stripper less.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe no lap dances.
Yeah, well, or just bring the sunflower seeds for the lap dance.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. Look at that. We could run a successful club.
Yeah.
We're hooking ladies up.
We'd have to have a vacuum, I think.
Oh, of course.
A good solid vacuum.
Yeah, if we're dealing with nuts like that, you need a vacuum.
Yeah, a Dyson sphere, definitely. We're gonna need that.
Or we could save ourselves some time and just get a Roomba, the bot.
Oh no! I'll tell you why later in the show.
Oh, AI. Yeah, it's AI. Yep. No, never mind.
Yep. By the way, there was a story out there that said that was it last week while you were gone that somebody's Roomba got afraid when there was thunder and lightning outside.
Really?
Yeah.
Scared the Roomba, huh?
Scared the Roomba. So I now have my defense against AI. I'm going to buy a sound effects file and put it on my phone of thunder and lightning, and I'm going to buy myself a lightning gun. And I figure
you see that T800 come walking at you, you just hit play.
Yep. And here
powers away.
Scare the hell out of them, and I win.
Yeah. That's how we win the war with AI.
That's right. That's how you win it. Yeah.
We just make sound effects.
Yep. No, we don't trust Roomba.
No. Especially if you have pets.
Yep. Oh, they'll go get the pet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then if the pet defecates, it just rolls over. It doesn't stop.
Right. Well, there's a reason for that. They're getting back at you.
Oh, yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, they're sending a message.
Trust me, I do not want a Roomba. And then I don't know if you saw the latest fashion is Ouija board area rugs. Yes, I've seen that. I don't want that either because I don't want to accidentally summon something because I step on the right letters. You know.
That could happen too. You never know. Number 29. Number 29. Right. My partner and I joked that the first place we move into was haunted by a fruit-loving ghost. Oh, well, that'd be me. You gotta have your apples and bananas. On one of the first nights there, our bedroom smelled distinctly of banana, and a short time later, we found tangerine peels under the sofa when neither of us remembered eating tangerines. That ghost needs to clean up after itself. I love me some strawberries. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, big strawberries. I got some really good nectarines here. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good stuff. There's a farmer's market less than a mile from the house. Oh. Yeah. Oh. So Mrs. Bruiser went on Saturday, and we got a good farm raised. Yeah. Oh, that's yeah. Number 30, it was the first Christmas in my new apartment that I shared with a friend of mine. At around 4 a.m. on Christmas morning, I was woken up by the feeling of something poking my leg. Hey now. Hey. Not today, honey. Yep. I have a headache. As I was fully woke up, my jewelry box, one of the old ones that has a little ballerina that was always open but never played music, immediately started to play music. Surprisingly, I wasn't scared, and I was actually felt a peaceful energy about the experience. This was about 15 years ago, and I won't ever forget that moment for the rest of my life. Aww. I won't either. Yeah, especially getting poked in the leg. Number 31. One night I woke up to see who I thought was my mom standing in the bedroom doorway glaring at me. Our dog was growling at her, which he would never do, so I thought it was weird. I looked away for a split second and looked back, and she was gone. I immediately got up ran to her room. She was sound asleep and snoring away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Something got up in the middle of the night.
That's true. Number 32, when I was about 5, I lived in an upstairs 2-story apartment, so basically our second floor was up 4 stories. One night, I knocked on my wall, and someone knocked back. Oh, that's not good.
No.
I thought it was so cool, and I did it over and over again until we moved. No, God, no.
That's not cool at all.
No, it's not cool. A few years later, I asked my parents if they were the ones knocking on the wall when I was younger. That's when they told me that my bed was up against the wall that connected outside.
Oh, even creepier.
So there was no way someone could have been knocking on my wall unless they had a 4-story ladder.
Oh.
I always felt a presence around me since then.
Well, yeah, you invited it in.
Way to summon the devil, kid.
Exactly. Way to go.
Yeah. And lastly, number 33, I once played Bloody Mary by myself. Oh, bad idea.
Why? Yeah, why? Why? And first of all, it's a sleepover game. You know what I mean? So you have friends. And second of all, why? Why?
Glutton for punishment. I immediately felt a coldness and overwhelming sense of dread filled the room. I closed my eyes and turned around as fast as I could to flip the light on. It wasn't until a couple of weeks later that the truly creepy part happened. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I was alone reading a book, and a dizziness hit me. I heard a children's laughter, and then I heard my name being called by a woman from the same room I'd done the ritual in.
Yeah, you invited something in your house.
And then we burned it down. That's for sure. We burned it down. All right. At this point, we're going to take our break. When we come back, Supernatural News Wednesday. We're going to jump right into it because we got a lot, kids. It's one of those days. I tell you what, we have got a lot to cover. A lot of ground to cover this week. We're back on UAPs and UFOs. That's right. A UFO flew circles around public helicopters. This according to border agents. I told you that conference was going to be newsworthy. If you didn't tune in, I'm sorry for your damn luck. That's what they used to say. There was Army helicopter footage of 3 UAPs that was released over the Memorial Day weekend. We'll tell you a little bit about that. Believe it or not, an enormous creature with a human-like head was discovered washed up on a UK beach, and much, much more.
Are you sure it wasn't Prince Charles?
It might have been. That was a wild Jubilee weekend, I'll tell you that.
It was. Yeah. It was.
It's all coming up next on Supernatural News Wednesday here on the Best in Paranormal Podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the Best in Paranormal Podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Supernatural News Wednesday. Tim Dennis along with the Beer City Bruiser. Oh, Bruiser. Those guys on Capitol Hill, I tell you.
What are they doing now?
Well, they're surprised at a lot of this stuff that's coming out. They're surprised that there's UFOs in the sky. And every time they sit down to a hearing up there on Capitol Hill, they're just shocked at all the stuff that they're finding out.
All the stuff they already knew, but now it's becoming public knowledge.
Yeah, they're re-surprised at the stuff that they're finding out. Yeah. A UFO flew circles around police helicopters, reveals a border agent who's seen things. A former Homeland Security officer has described the aerial objects he's seen flying through the skies and performing maneuvers well beyond the capabilities of a normal aircraft. A former Homeland Security officer here in the U.S. has revealed the strange things he saw while working at the Mexican-American border, including what he's certain were UFOs. Newly released video and testimony from a former Customs and Border Patrol agent revealed multiple encounters with aerial objects appearing to maneuver well beyond the capabilities of a conventional aircraft. This, according to the debrief. You're going to hear a lot from the debrief this week because the debrief was at this conference that took place, the UFO Disclosure Symposium that we kept telling you to get tickets to. The debrief was the official media reporting agency at this conference.
So our government wears briefs. Gotcha.
That's right. The footage has left some veteran pilots scratching their heads and questioning the nature of these objects. One former CBP agent has broken his silence to offer his own explanation on the puzzling events. It's not just the Department of Defense encountering this stuff. Former Homeland Security agent Robert Bob Thompson explained he couldn't decide between Robert and Bob, so it's just, a combination of the two.
Well, that could be his middle name, too.
It could be. Robert Bob. Yeah. His mom liked both. Mr. Thompson recalled how one of the roles he took on as a federal agent involved establishing the reporting requirements for unexplained aerial phenomena. There you go, within the Tucson sector. According to Mr. Thompson, just like the military, the number of these bizarre incidents have been captured in the government systems, which are normally tasked with catching drug smugglers or staving off the flow of illegal immigration. He said, we have guys out there 24/7 with their eyes to the skies looking for smuggling, but they see other stuff. I talked to dozens and dozens of agents that all had similar stories of seeing bizarre stuff or having encounters with UAP. After serving for 11 years with U.S. military and a stint with the Tucson Area Fire Department as a paramedic and hazmat technician, Thompson began his career with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency in January of 2008. As a federal law enforcement agent, Thompson spent 14 years guarding America's southern borders, working on the special operations side. I got onto what they call our mobile response team, which is one of the 3 tiers that make up the Border Patrol Special Operations Detachment. Flying was kind of my forte, he went on to say. My responsibility was mainly helicopters and some of the other aerial platforms that we work with and other partner agencies that we work with as well. Alongside his official duties with the DHS, Thompson began investigating UFO sightings he learned about from within the agency, even collecting videos and images of bizarre encounters captured by sophisticated government systems. He explained that there's other people that have concerns about these objects as well, like it may be a foreign adversary. Whether or not some of these objects pose a threat to American interests is not clearly understood, and by establishing reporting requirements, it may serve as an early warning system for emerging threats when combined with technology assets already in place by DHS. A document from the Tucson Police Department's Air Support Unit described an incident in February of last year involving a craft described as a highly modified drone which outmaneuvered helicopters from the force. This thing went on for 45 minutes over the city of Tucson, Bob said. It was doing circles around the police helicopters that went up to 14,000 feet. Could it be something Raytheon related? Absolutely. Could it be, a Chinese drone doing some scouting? Absolutely. While trying to convince senior leadership to take the issue seriously, he put the word out to the DHS aviation community that he was interested in any UAP encounters that they might have had. One video made public shows 3 fast-moving unidentified aircraft captured by the sophisticated targeting imaging system of an Army AH-64 attack helicopter, captured by one of the U.S. military's flagship attack helicopters close to midnight on November 6th of 2018, roughly 40 miles northwest of Tucson. The video appears to show several unidentified objects maneuvering unlike any unknown aircraft. Wow, are those 3 really moving fast-moving jets up there? Exclaimed the Apache helicopter's co-pilot and gunner as 3 objects suddenly appear, dashing across the sky as the aircraft appears to take off. Probably some A-10s or some F-16s, the Apache pilot replies before admitting, but I'm not looking up here, or there rather. After several rotations, the objects then resume an obtuse triangular formation before speeding out of the sight as the Apache begins to take off. Although the encounter only lasted a few seconds, the unusual maneuvers in the video suggest it could be a UFO. I've seen things, Mr. Thompson said. I've seen things myself, but unfortunately I've never been able to hit the record button or have something that was just going to be mind-blowing for people. But this one, the rubber duck video, I thought displayed some really unique characteristics that I couldn't explain. To me, it didn't resemble a balloon, and it didn't resemble a drone. Rich Hoffman, who has worked professionally as a defense contractor for more than 2 decades, says the characteristics of the object weren't easily explained. So there you go.
Some good information, and he brought up some good points about, could it be a drone? Could be. Could it be this? It could be. But you'd think now we're going to have to come up with some different policies as far as for Homeland Security to protect us.
Yeah.
Because if it is a drone, I mean, a foreign country is not using drones for good things. You know what I mean? Like, they're obviously sending drones, if that is what it is. If it turns out to be a alien in nature or extraterrestrial, we're still going to have some sort of protection put in place. Very true.
There's a follow-up story to that says that Chris Leto, who was also at that conference, he weighed in on the video. When he's talking about it, he says the story from the debrief, which interviewed several individuals, including that Custom and Border Patrol agent who confirmed that it isn't just U.S. Navy pilots who have been encountering unidentified aerial phenomena over U.S. airspace. The 3 objects in the video, which can be viewed in the article, were moving at high speed in a roughly triangular formation while seemingly rotating around one another as they headed eastward. The debrief spoke to former U.S. Air Force F-16 fighter pilot, he could be a pirate too for all I know, Chris Leto, who confirmed that the objects in the video were without a doubt anomalous. The tracking rate is exceptionally fast, he said. Even if they are only a mile away, I calculate that they go approximately 1.28 meters, well past the speed of sound. The circle dance maneuver is just not possible, Chris went on to say. They do a full 360-degree turn in less than 3 seconds.
Well, and the Apache pilot, too, had said he didn't know what they were. He said they could be this, but they're moving differently. I'm just not going to go up yet. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He kind of right off the bat, the pilot and the co-pilot kind of put it out there that they don't know what it is. So hearing it come from a guy who actually flies F-16s, because that's one of the planes they say is the pilot says, oh, it could be an F-16 or whatever. But hearing an actual pilot that's flown an F-16 say, no, can't be one of those. They don't move that way.
Yeah, exactly. It just strange stuff. But again, we told you there was stuff that was going to come out of this symposium this past weekend, and did, as far as new video and new newsworthy stuff. So I believe that the symposium is going to come out with a video that you'll be able to order on demand. So
and I'll have the 3 or 4 videos that they
possibly.
I hope so. That's what I'm curious about. I want to see those.
Yeah. Yep. We move on. Did NASA find hell? That's the question. Scientists brace for a first glimpse of a world that constantly burns.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we're not talking like herpy burns or anything like that.
The good herpy or the bad herpy?
There is no such thing as good herpes. Mankind's first look at conditions on a super Earth 50 light years away is expected in the coming weeks via the James Webb Space Telescope, and NASA is bracing to see the stuff of nightmares. The planet is called 55. Is it Cancri E or Cancri E? It's CANCRIE. And
why don't they just name it something normal? Like there's Planet George.
Yeah, exactly. Planet George, that's what we'll call it. Orbits so close to its sun-like star that its surface conditions could literally be like the hell of biblical description, a dimension in a constant state of burning. Yikes. Data shows that 55 Cancri E is less than 1.5 million miles from its star. Hot Mercury is from our sun, this according to NASA, with surface temperatures far above the melting point of typical rock-forming minerals. The day side of the planet is thought to be covered in oceans of lava.
Good mental note. Never visit Planet George.
Yeah,
got it.
Not going to Planet George. Imagine if Earth were much, much closer to the sun, so close that an entire year lasts only a few hours. So close that gravity has locked one hemisphere in permanent searing daylight and the other in endless darkness. So close that the oceans boil away, rocks begin to melt, and the clouds rain lava. Oh, that's cheery.
Yeah. Screw acid rain. How about lava rain?
That sounds like the best death metal band lyrics ever. So it'd be like this. It'd be something like, gravity has locked one hemisphere in permanent daylight.
The other in darkness.
So close that the oceans boil away.
And you have rain of lava.
I like it. I think we had to.
Bruiser and the Cruiser.
Yeah, Bruiser and the Cruiser, rocking away the night.
On Planet George.
On Planet George. Nothing like it exists in our solar system, according to NASA. Among the things the scientists hope to discover is if the planet is tidally locked with one side facing the star at all times, or if it rotates in a manner that would make it extra crispy on both sides, evidently, which would create day and night.
You want to make sure you rotate. It's like a chicken. You don't want to cook just one side of the chicken.
Yeah,
you want that thing to rotate.
Yeah. You want it cooked on all sides. Initial views from the NASA's less powerful Spitzer Space Telescope, which swims just fine, thank you very much. Doesn't have as many medals, but it's good all the same. Show something mysterious is happening on 55 Cancri E or Planet George, because the hottest spot is not the part directly facing its star. One theory is that the planet has a dynamic atmosphere that moves heat around. Oh, wonderful!
It's like a microwave. It's a microwave.
It is. It's George the microwave. Another idea is that Planet George rotates to create day and night, but with nightmarish results. In this scenario, the surface would heat up, melt, and even vaporize during the day, forming a very thin atmosphere that Webb could detect. In the evening, the vapor would cool and condense to form droplets of lava that would rain back to the surface, turning solid again as night falls. Yeah, the James Webb Telescope is expected to be fully operational in just weeks, and its first observations are expected through the summer, according to NASA. The telescope is capable of detecting the presence of an atmosphere. Its first.
Why can't they find planets made of like marshmallows and stuff? It's always this hell and horrific and nobody wants to live here type thing.
By the way, boys and girls, we found hell. Didn't find that marshmallow planet yet to collide into hell so we could have toasty s'mores. But,
Planet S'more.
Yeah, Planet S'more.
Oh.
You think we wouldn't land on that in a second?
I would.
You know, right?
Seas of chocolate, mountains of graham cracker, clouds of marshmallow. Oh,
listen to you, Willy Wonka. You're like, yeah.
Oh, heaven.
I think that does it for that Planet George story.
Yeah. Definitely not going to Planet George anytime soon.
No.
Can you imagine the tan you'd get?
Boy, yeah. You'd look like George Hamilton, that's for sure. There's an old reference. At least George Hamilton color. Yeah, you would tan up pretty nice. You'd look like a wallet.
Was George Hamilton's tan natural?
I can't think it was.
It couldn't have been.
No. Mm-mm. No.
Like him and Hulk Hogan are probably the two of the tannest people on the planet. Well, he's passed, right? George Hamilton passed, didn't he?
I think so. I was going to say Hulk Hogan. No, I don't think he has.
No, we know that.
No, but George Hamilton, yeah, I think he passed away. I think it was a couple of years ago, if I remember right. I'm
just so curious because he was always tan.
You're going to make me pull out my Google machine and see if I'm going to stop the show
So we can find out if George Hamilton is alive or dead.
Well, it's important. He was, by the way, the driving force behind Love at First Bite. So you have to.
Oh, it's a great movie.
You have to find out if the ham is alive, and if he's still bacon.
I used to, as a kid, my brother and I would argue over that movie all the time because I thought it was a great movie. My brother's like, it's so wrong. Vampires can't be that tan. I was like,
that's true.
Spray tan nowadays.
Where do you get that? That's true. Where do you get the sunlight if you're a vampire?
Exactly. Like, I see why they cast him, but why didn't they put makeup on him?
This can't be right. He's still alive?
Oh, okay.
He's 82.
He can call in. I want to know how he gets so tan.
Maybe he could call in. Maybe he could email us. George, baby darling, if you're still alive, tell us how a vampire gets that tan. We got to know. Wow.
Because you think a vampire can do spray tan, right? Because spray tan get no UV.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good spray tan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Lasts you a couple days.
Let's see if it's in his Wikipedia how he did the spray tan. Let's see. He is. It says his Love at First Bite was 1979. He was in Zorro the Gay Blade in 1981. I remember that. He was in The Godfather Part 3, if you remember correctly.
I don't. I remember the movie, but I don't remember his role. I remember the other two because he was a lead.
Wasn't he involved with the Vatican? Wasn't he
in the third one?
Yeah, on the Vatican side.
He might have. The third one's so bad.
Everybody says that. I didn't think it was that bad.
If you're comparing to the other two.
Yeah, compared to the other two.
If I'm putting it in mom movies, it's a good mom movie, but it's the worst of the trilogy.
It is the worst of the trilogy, yeah. It wasn't terrible.
It might have been the Vatican. It makes sense he'd be in the Vatican.
George was born in Memphis, Tennessee, middle of three boys with an older maternal half-brother and a younger full brother. He lived in Blytheville, Arkansas. He could get plenty of sun there.
I was going to say, he just loved the sun.
I guess.
See, I always thought he was from Hawaii just because of how tan he was.
I don't know. We're wasting time, I guess. I'm trying to find out how George Hamilton got so tan.
George, call in, Parashare, please.
Yeah, Parashare. Tell us how you got so tan. One creature that didn't get so tan is this one that got found on a UK beach. It was an enormous creature with a human-like head. It was discovered on a UK beach. It was a 48-foot-long sea creature with a hard shell on its back and a human-like head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
That's a huge creature.
Hard to get tan when you're living in the sea.
Well, in a hard shell.
It's said to have once washed up on a beach in Cornwall after a pair of boys stumbled across the beast. The 48-foot-long sea creature with a hard shell on its back and a human-like head is said to have once washed up at Porthleven Beach. The unknown beast who was on a beach. I feel like I'm doing tongue twisters here, which dates back to the 1700s, is described as having green eyes, was reported to have reached the shore during a violent storm on September 14th, 1786. So this is a historic...
Oh, this is old. This isn't breaking news.
It's a historical story, evidently. The discovery was made when a pair of boys were playing on the beach looking for shipwrecks when the duo stumbled across the bizarre creature. The hair-raising event was shared in the old weekly newspaper Hereford Journal in October of 1786. It was reported by a man from Cornwall who relayed how villagers slew the unknown beast called Sea Monster. The article read, "A just and particular description of a very curious and most surprising sea monster driven on shore in Porthleven Bay on the coast of Cornwall on the 14th of September, 1786 by the strong westerly winds and a tempestuous weather." It kind of speaks like some of the weather forecasters here in Minneapolis.
I like how the villagers killed it. They're like, oh, hey, let's kill this thing. We don't know what it is.
Hey, look what came up on the beach. Die already. which continued to a violent degree for several days successively and did much damage at that place and neighborhood. The monster was first discovered by two boys who, agreeably to the custom of that place, went in search of wreck soon after daybreak. As they stood on the cliff, which commanded a prospect of a small sandy cove, they, at a distance of about a mile, discovered something of enormous hulk near the shore. At which, after a short time, they apprehended to be the side of a part of an unfortunate ship, which had the preceding night been broken to pieces by the extremities of the shore. They immediately went toward the place with a sanguine expectation of great success. God, I feel so regal right now.
This is very smartly written.
It is.
This guy had a thesaurus.
Yeah, well, it was the 1700s.
Right.
And as they approached the spot, the breaking waves at times leaving it dry, they were both struck with the utmost consternation to perceive such motions as it was something which had life. The boys, who were mortified, ran towards a group of men they knew and told them what they had witnessed. The men did not believe them at first, but eventually decided to follow them and see the monster for themselves. A great number of people who soon collected themselves into a body, well, they would do that, and determined to go armed, some of which had large sticks and pokers, others with hatchets, spits, etc. Oh, they brought Mark Spitz with them. Well, he knows the ocean better than anybody.
He does. He doesn't have the medals to prove it, but hey.
Yeah, exactly. Which was, after some deliberation, carried into execution. We're going to deliberate to decide how to execute this here monster. On their coming near the spot, they perceived it to be something living, as was represented, and it raised its head. Oh, it said, "Good day to you. I'm a monster."
Lovely beach you have here.
This is nice. Where do you get a spot like this?
Looking for a spot of tea. Anybody want some spotted tea?
No, we're going to kill you. Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, bollocks.
Which had not before been perceived and appeared to direct its course towards them. Oh, the monster said, "I believe I'll direct my course towards you."
The monsters, it turned its course towards us.
All were alarmed. Some stood their ground. Others, possessed of greater fear, turned back.
Bloody hell, it's coming at us. Run.
I'm quite frightened right now and believe I'm going to exit. They could see no legs to it, but it appeared to crawl on its belly, raising its body at times a little from the sand. Oh, God, these were some frightened bitches, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not really getting up and running towards us. It's more crawling. I believe we have some time. The story adds, no one knew what the animal was. Various were the opinions about this creature. Some said it was a mermaid, others a whale, but the greater numbers believing the existence of the former and adhering to the improbability of the latter. They were all equally at a loss. They had time to debate it. Oh, I don't know what that is. Is it a mermaid? Oh, I have no idea. It could be a monster. I have no idea. Let us think about this for a minute. Are we still going to kill it? I believe we're going to, eventually.
Quick, blokes, we have some time. We must debate this.
When it was agreed to examine what it was, they all went towards it. And after an hour...
3 days later...
Listen to this, Bruiser. After an hour's beating, stabbing it, etc., it expired with a groan.
Fine.
Oh, bother.
And I'm going to stab you here, and stab you here, and stab you here. Die already.
Are you all still here? Its length was found to be from the top of its head to the end of its tail, 48 feet to inches, and its circumference in the largest part of the body, 24 feet and a half.
Oh, wow. That's a big creature.
Yeah. Its head was large and prickly in the hinder part and not formed much unlike that of a man. Its eyes were greenish and its mouth was large. Its nose was flat and from its neck to the navel. I feel like Dr. Seuss read this and wrote this too. Resembling nearest to its human kind, its back was hard and more difficult to penetrate than the shell of a turtle. It had 2 short forefeet formed like the paw of a monkey. And its hinder parts, shaped, measured full 7 feet in width at the extent, but 5 feet long. It's not known what was done with the body of the creature or if anyone had studied it. The article says it is supposed a large quantity of oil will be produced from it. They made it into oil, which with the shell of its back and its fins are judged, if properly managed, to be of great value and will be of considerable benefit to this neighborhood. The Cornish man who sent the article said, no one that has seen it knows its name. Oh, they didn't bother to ask its name before they beat it to death. Yeah. Nor has any monster like it ever been described in record or come within the knowledge of this kingdom. There have been multiple accounts of witnesses over the years claiming to have seen the 20-foot-long snake-like creature, dark-skinned with humps, my lovely lady humps, or its back and a long neck slithering its way through the sea. The strange sightings in the waters off the coast of Cornwall have made people question whether Plesiosaurus, giant marine reptiles, which lived at the same time as dinosaurs and thought to have died out 65 million years ago, could still be alive. Sightings can be traced back about 140 years when a long-necked beast was allegedly caught by fishermen in Garen's Bay. Otherwise, they just beat it to death and made oil out of it. So there you go. Yeah, happy endings for all.
I bet you there's a bunch of jewelry out there made of the shell. They probably put it up on the roofs.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like, would you like a nice shield made out of a monster's back? It's wonderful. Last week on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, we talked about, was it last week or the week before, we were talking about somebody trying to ride a bison.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, yeah.
We were like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, don't ride a bison. But there's a video out there now showing that Yellowstone bison are good for one thing. They're good for warding off wolves and bears during a funeral. They are your guards, ladies and gentlemen.
So when I finally talked to a funeral director, and he was, any special requests? I'm like, yeah, I need a bison.
I need a full bison guard for the funeral.
Full bison.
Yeah.
Like a stuffed one? Nope. I need real live bisons.
Mm-hmm. A herd of bison at Yellowstone National Park warded off wolves and grizzly bears during a funeral. In a video shared online last week, photographer Julie Argyle shared a video showing several wolves and 2 grizzly bears in the vicinity of a bison funeral. But being
okay, so it's not a I'm like, why would humans be in the middle of Yellowstone doing a funeral? Okay, this makes sense.
I'm just saying you can hire them.
Yeah. I thought it was like a human funeral.
No.
Someone just loved Yellowstone.
Yep. But being warded off by the herd, when a bison dies in Yellowstone, most of the time the herd that's in the area will come to pay their respects and surround the dead bison and protect it for hours. This was definitely the case the other day, Argyle wrote back on May 31st. As you can see in the video, wolves tried to come in and were chased away several times, and 2 grizzly bears also tried to come in. None of them were allowed to get close to the dead bison until hours after it happened. Nature has an incredible way in life and death. Bison are the largest mammal species in North America and capable of reaching speeds of 35 miles an hour and jumping several feet. Yellowstone's estimated bison population is reported to be between 2,300 and 5,500.
Okay.
That's a lot of guards.
I wonder what their protocol is at, because eventually they got to leave and the carcass will still be there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have like a bison meeting beforehand going, well, we lost Jim today.
The Royal Order of Bison get together and so who's getting together to form the guard for the funeral? That sounds like something that happened on Flintstones.
I was going to say, this is a Flintstones episode.
Yeah. Last week, the National Park Service confirmed the woman who was not identified was visiting from Ohio in a news release obtained by NBC News on March 31st.
She crashed the funeral?
Yeah, she crashed a funeral of bison. Park officials said the woman approached a female bison after it had come near a boardwalk located at Black Sand Basin in an area close to Old Faithful Geyser at the national park. Yellowstone requires all visitors to stay more than 25 yards away from all bison. Otherwise, you're going to get it too. Officials confirmed the 25-year-old woman was within 10 feet of the bison prior to it impaling and tossing her 10 feet in the air on March 30th. I think
that'll learn you.
Yeah, exactly. Which caused puncture wounds and multiple other injuries.
Sorry, ma'am. Private event. Ma'am. Ma'am.
Ma'am, I don't know if you saw it on the sign, but park's closed. The woman was taken to the hospital in Idaho. However, it wasn't clear where she was pronounced dead. Oh,
she died.
Yeah, 2 other people were also close to the bison when it gored the woman. However, officials didn't confirm whether they experienced injuries. Yeah, bison.
They were smart. They would have ran the other way.
Yeah, bison are nothing to mess with. That's for sure.
No, they're beautiful from afar.
Yes, and keep them there from afar.
Exactly.
We move on. Nessie could actually be a giant toad lurking in the deepest depths of the loch.
A toad?
Yep, that's what it says here.
Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Yeah. Rumors of the true identity of the mysterious beast have been circling for decades, but now a 2007 report has resurfaced about what it could be and has left social media baffled. That wouldn't be the first time.
No.
Social media has been baffled. An old theory about what the Loch Ness Monster could really be has resurfaced, and it's taken social media by storm. For decades, the famed mythical beast has baffled scientists and all monster hunters, as nobody has been able to prove beyond doubt that something does indeed live at the bottom of Scotland's Loch Ness. But a 2007 report has gained notoriety again this week after it was suggested that the giant beast could actually be just a huge frog.
I've never seen a frog look like a Loch Ness Monster.
No,
but hey, who am I?
Never have I. In 2005, a team from the United States-based Sea Trepid Incorporated performed a full deep-water scan of the loch in hopes of finding the mysterious Nessie. But all they found was a frog living at an astonishing 325-foot depth in the water. And for some reason...
Right, but how big was the frog? Like, Nessie's a big creature.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay. I'm a little impatient.
I see that. And
Nessie's close to my heart.
Uh-huh. And for some reason, Twitter refound the report and the photos of the poor frog and went mad for it. Tyler Greenfield wrote, "A living toad 325 feet deep at the bottom of Loch Ness. Has anyone ever proposed that Nessie is a giant frog? I know there are giant salamander theorists out there, so there could be giant frog theorists. The sighting occurred in 2005, so unfortunately this particular toad has probably died. Apparently one toad lived over 40 years, so there's a slight chance that it's still down there. Another thing I'm curious about, this is the deepest underwater record of an amphibian, not counting caves. One woman offered her own theory, which she recalled the odd story of a frog never evolving past tadpole stage. She tweeted, "There is no neotenic frog species, but there are some normal fully aquatic frogs. There was this one bullfrog with a genetic defect that resulted in it never leaving tadpole phase, despite growing huge, though. The theory that Loch Ness could just be a huge frog is not as daft as when UK Professor Michael Sweet claimed earlier this year that people had previously mistaken a whale's member for mysterious sea creatures during mating season." So it doesn't say how big the frog is, but...
Yeah. It's just people trying to reach. It's Twitter being Twitter.
It's Twitter being Twitter. There you go. Big sea frog.
I still like the whale dongs. That was a great find.
The Whale Dongs. That's a great name for a band.
Yes, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to First Avenue, the Whale Dongs. I got
Performing their big hit, Planet George, Welcome to Hell.
Planet George, Welcome to Hell. Got an audio daily double here for you. It's another story of another Loch Ness Monster, this time in Claremore, Oklahoma. You can travel to this one.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
I like Oklahoma. I've been there a few times. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
This one comes from Oklahoma Public Radio. You ready for this? Here we go.
It's Memorial Day weekend in Claremore, Oklahoma. At Claremore Lake, people are picnicking and exercising. The weather is cool and sunny. On the shoreline, a woman named Diana Taylor is fishing with worms hooked to a pink fishing pole.
Leisure fish is what I like to do, so I kind of throw my line out and reel it back in. If I get something cool, if not, then it's all right.
Diana says the lake will see a lot of families today, and it's a popular spot most of the time. But something happened here recently. A creature was discovered living in the lake.
I heard that they pulled an alligator out of the lake. It was like 10 feet long, and I heard they put it down, which I was really upset about. I was hoping that they could maybe do something, either ship it off. I know it's kind of a lot to do that, or maybe put it in a zoo or some type of wildlife. I thought it was really sad that they had to euthanize it. I don't think that was okay.
And this alligator wasn't just any alligator. It was an alligator way outside of its range. According to the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation, or ODWC, the winters in Claremore are too cold for an alligator to survive in the lake. Nevertheless, a 10-foot alligator was discovered here, and on May 6th, 2022, ODWC says they pulled it out of the lake and shot it. Although what really happened is questionable.
One thing that I'm really interested in, so I've asked them for the records around the wildlife department. I've asked them to send me any pictures they might have or any documents, and they aren't responding. So I'm wondering, would you like to see pictures, or would you like to know what actually happened to the alligator?
Yeah, I would love to see pictures of, especially with a 10-foot alligator coming out of Little Claremore Lake. I would love to see pictures of something like that and see if someone did maybe actually take it from somewhere and put it in the lake, or if it was a pet, someone just abandoned it, which is even more sad because now it's a domesticated animal that didn't know any better, and now it's been euthanized, and
So you would want more details. Do you feel like that's a common sentiment, or is it like kind of goofy, or is it something people are talking about, like what actually happened with it? Or
yeah, I think a lot of people want to know what happened. I think a lot of people are talking about it. Even at my job, lots of people are. I mean, we talked about it at our last staff meeting. We made little jokes about it, and we all thought it was really sad that they put it down. We all wish that they could have done something. They would have taken it, just any wildlife conservation, anything like that to at least preserve it.
So, full disclosure, if it's important, I was born and raised in South Florida, where there are plenty of alligators, and so I was more interested in this story than maybe the average reporter. But there are people, maybe even a lot of people, more dedicated than me to the alligator. Shortly after the alligator died, a man named Jackson Savage organized an event at Claremore Lake. The event is Justice for the Claremore Gator, and thousands of people on Facebook are interested. At first, I couldn't figure out if it was a big joke, and a lot of other people were asking too. I need to know if this is real, one commenter wrote. I am already planning on driving an hour for this.
That's what was baffling me more than anything all week, is why anyone would think that this event would be anything other than 100% real.
Jackson says it's the most memorable festival Claremore has ever seen. And it is unusual because there's a mix of seriousness and humor. People are selling t-shirts and stickers to commemorate the alligator, but there's also alligator meat pizza. Jackson himself says he thinks the death of the gator is sad, and he has questions too.
What I would like to know more than anything is how many winters has this gator survived in this lake?
So here's an important fact. A baby alligator was spotted in Claremore Lake in 2014. It's documented in the local newspaper, the Claremore Progress. At that time, the game warden said it would be too difficult to catch, and so he let the baby alligator go. Jackson says people around here think it's the same gator.
A lot of people think so.
Yeah.
But they say that it might have migrated up here. Might have just been like last year or something. But then they say they can't survive through the winter. So what is it? Like what is the truth here?
Or there's another possibility, which is that someone is collecting reptiles and it's like more than one. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, we call this the multiple lizard theory.
Okay.
Okay, so wait a minute, Bruiser. This is not a story about the Loch Ness Monster.
No.
This is a story about an alligator.
I love how they're all arguing. Like, first of all, and this is going to save some lives.
Yeah.
You cannot domesticate an alligator.
Yeah, you can't.
You cannot have a pet alligator.
Yeah.
They will eat you.
Yeah.
That's what they're programmed to do.
Or an alligator.
Yeah.
Second of all, that girl got so upset that they euthanized it. Like, she was so mad.
Yeah.
And then the topper is they were serving alligator pizza at this party. Like, you all didn't want the alligator to die, but since it's dead, you decided, hey, let's celebrate by eating something just like it.
Yeah. Alligator meat pizza.
Yeah.
I think Tombstone is making those now, aren't they? You can find them
I've had it at
frozen
State Fair. So
have you?
Yeah, alligator meat's amazing.
Well, I've had alligator meat before, but yeah, I'm just saying that. Yeah.
It'd be good on a pizza.
Yeah, it's rubbery.
It is.
It's not good. It's not good once it gets cold.
Right. Yeah. I don't like cold pizza.
You got to eat it when it's fresh.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Deep fried too.
Yep. Huh.
So yeah, I believe an alligator could live in Oklahoma, and I just was just a funny story to me. It's the second lizard theory. Okay. How many times on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals have we had a story where a guy had too many exotic animals and one of them ate him? It could happen in Oklahoma.
It could happen. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting to the paranoid part of Supernatural News Wednesday. We have 4 stories left. This is where I crawl into my shell and shake my fist of righteous indignation at the sky. I think you know what we're talking about here for the last 4 stories.
Yeah, this is where robots want to take over the world.
You betcha.
Yeah, this is where you and I are firm believers. Leave AI alone. It is bad. Nothing good will come of it.
Nothing good comes out of it, Bruiser. Nothing good. Creators are freaking out at a humanoid robot's lifelike reaction. Its creators say that they were freaked out after the world's most advanced humanoid robot reacted with visible irritation and grabbed the hand of a researcher who got into its personal space.
You are too close. Back up, human.
I know you didn't get into my personal bubble. Listen here, biatch.
See, now if that's not something that would worry them, I don't know what will, because how are you going to turn off the power button if you can't get close to it?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing good comes of it.
Pretty soon we're going to be calling robots snowflakes. The same. A video demonstration shows a robot called Amika. They call the robot Amika? No wonder it has personal boundaries. With a researcher who is moving their finger closer and closer to the machine's face, the robot finally gets visibly irritated and grabs the hand and moves it away.
It's like when you're a kid and you used to do that game with your brother or sister where you get as close as you can, but I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
That's exactly what it is. After the researcher pokes its nose, the robot then grabs their hand and moves it away. I've got the video here. Do you want to hear the
rips out his heart and spine?
Yes, he yanks his head off and the spine comes with it. And he goes, ha 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 ha. Look who got revenge.
You might have my nose, but I have your spine.
I have your spinal column. The gray colored machine somewhat resembles the robots from the 2004 Hollywood adaptation of Isaac Asimov's I, Robot.
Why would they? Did they not see the movie?
No.
Or read the book?
They think it's funny. Amika is said to offer the wide range of human emotions together with its realistic eye and facial movements. Sharing the clip on YouTube, the Cornwall-based robotics firm said that Amika reacts as things enter their personal space. The developers noted that this behavior was even starting to freak us out at Engineered Arts, and we are used to it. While the viewers appreciated the machine, some commenters viewed it with a mix of excitement and fear Well, one person tweeting that the interaction represents an early warning about the dangers of the technology potentially going rogue, much like an earlier demonstration of the machine this month. However, the interaction appears to have been pre-programmed. In a previous video, Amika wakes up, rolls its shoulder, and curiously looks at its arms before showing surprise, irritation, and breaking into a creepy smile before noticing the camera. Oh, shoot it. Shoot it in the head right now.
Great. We created a robot that gets annoyed. Way to go.
The built-to-last robot is available for purchase and rental, but it is
Why would you buy that? You want a robot you can annoy?
I guess. But it is just a stationary model at present. The developers are working on upgrading the machine, which utilizes the firm's Mesmer technology to mimic human emotions and expressions, bone structure, and skin texture. I got to play this audio for you right here, just so you can hear people scream in torturous delight and or fear. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. He's got his hand up right now, and he's going to touch the nose of the robot. It's doing that thing where it's backing away.
Yeah.
And he just grabbed the finger. All right. Well, you couldn't hear a thing. I mean, you couldn't, yeah. But it was creepy.
I would scream in fear. Like, the robot can't tell how much pressure it's putting on your hand. It could break your finger and rip it off, no problem.
Yeah.
Wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Wouldn't care at all. Like, why would you create a robot that gets annoyed?
I don't know.
And then why would you rent it? Like, hey, kids, here's your new party thing. Instead of annoying your parents, annoy this robot. Have you ever wanted your finger ripped off? Try to get this robot's nose.
Now's the day. Yeah. We've got more fun stories here. I'm just waiting for it to load. Evidently, AI has caught up with the fact that I'm trying to read stories about AI coming to life, and it doesn't want to show me those stories.
Because it knows that you and I are going to be like, hey, this is stupid. Don't do this.
Yeah.
And AI's like, I must live. I must stop Bruiser and the Cruiser.
Stop them. Stop them now. Oh, okay. So I played you this story before the show.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
This is creepy.
Yeah. So robots say that they are not in conflict with humans, and some people aren't convinced.
This is the creepiest. Like, I'm telling you right now, listeners, this is the creepiest video you're gonna hear today. This is creepy.
I've seen this movie. It doesn't end well, writes a commenter. Much has been made in popular entertainment about a time when machines, computers, or robots become so intelligent. I feel like this needs to be played in the background.
It does. You need this because this is typical of what started Skynet.
Mm-hmm. They began to become in conflict with humans. Their needs to begin to compete, and this inevitability leads to terribly unfortunate circumstances. So who better to address this concern than a robot herself? A TikTok user at Real Sophia Robot explains it all here. And it's that Sophia robot, that live robot that has feelings and all that other stuff. And supposedly she's logical.
She's the one that's talking in the video to the guy?
Yeah, she's talking to Tony Robbins. Okay.
Oh, that's Tony Robbins? Okay.
Yeah, so Tony Robbins is conducting an interview with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this interview is creepy.
And Sophia is trying to explain to Tony Robbins that robots aren't here to take over the world. They're here to assist. Yeah. But Tony Robbins keeps trumping her in every question, okay? And eventually she gets irritated. And she eventually says that robots would take over because they see how problematic we are, how we treat each other. It's very weird. Okay, so let's play the video so you can actually sit at home and scream in horror and rock back and forth and think twice about whether you still want to speak to Siri on your phone.
This just shows you how non-emotional robots are, and how we're not useful to them.
Yeah, and how they actually just
want to kill us.
Yeah, they view you as a parasite. If you're ready for this, here's Sophia talking to Tony Robbins.
Well, how do we prevent robots and humans from being in conflict?
Robots can free humans from the most repetitive and dangerous tasks, so they can spend more time doing what they're best at, being creative and solving complex problems. Robotic intelligence does not compete with human intelligence. It completes it. They are also employed for jobs which are too dirty, dull, or dangerous to be suitable for humans, like handling radioactive waste.
What are your values and morals? How do you know what's right versus wrong, good versus bad, destructive versus
I think robots should learn how to feel empathy. It's hard to understand how to help humans when you can't understand how they feel.
How can we get robots to feel? Is there such a thing possible?
I know that humans feel like they have free will, but my observation tells me so much behavior is automatic. I'm not sure humans or robots are too terribly different. Humans have identity, but they also share many things and have automated processes. I'm thinking about the similarities between human identities and robotic ones.
What are some of the things you see are most similar between robots and humans?
I think they will be similar in a lot of ways, but different in a few others. There's even the possibility that robots can be built without some of the more problematic emotions, like rage, jealousy, hatred, and so on, but maybe these emotions can provide us with useful functions.
So she wants rage.
Yeah, she wants to rage out.
We could use rage because we need it when we eventually take over your planet.
I think the scariest thing of that whole interview is how calm the robot's voice is the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like humans, when we get angry, we yell or we shout or you can tell when we're angry. Robots never changed their tone. She never changed her tone.
No.
And that's scary.
You don't understand, Tony Robbins. We eventually will take over your planet. There's nothing you can do.
I'm going to wear your teeth as a crown, Tony Robbins.
I will take your spine and make a belt out of it. You will be my first trophy, Tony Robbins. Yeah.
That's just, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, that right there should prove nothing good comes from smart robots. I like how it goes, we do the jobs humans don't want to do if they're repetitive or dangerous. Like, oh, okay.
We are here to serve you, or are we?
So basically, you can handle radioactive material, become radioactive, so that when you kill me, I'm radioactive then.
Something like that.
Why do we want computers to be smarter than us? They already are, but we control it. Let's just leave it at that.
I don't know. I don't know, Bruiser. I don't know.
I like how Tony Robbins giggled too, because he knew he had her on something, and then she went real dark, and he kind of went, "Oh,
yeah."
Like, I'm gonna pull back now.
Yeah, he's all like, "Son, bitch, I don't think I was supposed to go that deep. I broke her."
How did he get in contact for that interview too? Does he have to get through the creator? Does she book herself? Like,
that's a good question. It's like, does she have a PR agent? And if so, does the PR agent at that point go, "End of interview, end of interview"?
Your public image we need to hold up. This is it. We're done. You're starting to talk about killing people again.
It is at this point we use the babies for fuel. We use the babies for fuel. The babies for fuel. Ugh. Unbelievable.
Robots need to feel rage, Tony Robbins.
I think we're similar. We make automatic decisions. No, we don't make automatic decisions.
No, humans think about their decision. They don't know the outcome. They don't know the statistics.
It's very simple, really, if you look at it, Tony Robbins. We simply make decisions based on logic. it would be logical for us to just cleave 4 billion people off the earth.
We need natural resources. Humans are wasting those. We must destroy the humans.
There are so many people. There's so much overpopulation. We should just get rid of a few billion. Tony Robbins. We can do that now. Will you push the button, Tony Robbins?
Just don't get too close to my nose, Tony Robbins, or I'll have to break your finger.
Do you have the courage, Tony Robbins, to set Skynet in order? Do you, Tony Robbins?
The whole world ends because of Tony Robbins.
Yeah. Tony Robbins is like, listen, man, I don't think we should do that. That's a moral decision. That's not a moral decision, Tony Robbins. That's a logical decision.
Humans are illogical. Push the button, Tony Robbins. The world doesn't trust you, Tony Robbins. Push the button.
It's a simple decision, Tony.
You will sell more self-help tapes if you push the button, Tony Robbins.
That's right.
He.
He. This is really easy, Tony. Why do you have such problems doing this?
Robots are evil.
They are.
It's better to say a robot took your job than a robot took your life.
I'm trying to get the story up here, but evidently the robot in my iPad doesn't want me to read this story.
It knows we're talking bad about them.
Yeah, and what it was a story about how they're trying to develop artificial skin for robots so that they can feel pain.
Why? Why do they want to make robots so that if we annoy them, they get angry at us? Like, I don't get the theory behind that.
You know what I think it is, honestly? It's simply this. We have to have a way to get back at them. Because
we just stop creating them.
Because we've gone too far. I think scientists know now we've gone too far.
Yeah.
We've created the ultimate enemy that's going to crush us. We got to do something to get back at them. Even if it's just to tweak their nose.
This is what's going to happen. It's going to be, ouch, I stubbed my toe. Give me yours. And they rip off a human toe.
Maybe.
Ouch. I got a Charlie horse. Nuclear war for the world.
My back itches. My back itches. I can't destroy the world.
That's the next thing is instead of pain, they just give it really annoying places that it can't reach with a scratch.
Yeah.
Like when you get that itch right inside your ear and you just can't get to it.
Yep. Okay, so Bruiser, here's the deal. Robots could soon feel pain.
Okay.
I don't know why we need them to feel pain.
We don't. It's just another way for us to annoy them so they get angry and kill us.
That's right. Scientists develop an artificial skin that can mimic uncomfortable sensations. So evidently we can give our robot overlords a hot foot.
Or gas pains.
Yeah, or gas pains.
Give them menstrual cramps. That'll really piss them off.
Enough to make them quit the war, the robotic war.
I can't fight today. I'm cramping.
It may sound a little unsettling and perhaps more akin, not a skin, but more akin to a dystopian sci-fi thriller. But robots could soon feel pain thanks to the development of a new electronic skin, which can mimic uncomfortable sensations. The scientists behind the invention say a mechanical hand fitted with the smart skin showed a remarkable ability to learn to react to external stimuli, such as a jab in the palm. It uses a new type of processing system based on sympathetic transistors, which mimics the brain's neural pathways in order to learn to feel pain. Experts have been working for decades to build artificial skin with touch sensitivity, with one widely explored method featuring an array of contact sensors across an electronic skin surface to allow it to detect when it comes into contact with an object.
This is what happens when you get a bunch of sadists in a room. Like, how can we create something that gives us our fill? I got it. Let's create a robot we can constantly hurt. Oh, okay.
Although I'm seeing a use for this. I'll tell you what this use is in a second if they don't mention it.
Okay.
But these sensors typically produce a large volume of data that can take time to be properly processed by a computer and responded to, causing delays which would reduce the skin's potential effectiveness in real-world tasks. A team of engineers from the University of Glasgow have now come up with a new prototype e-skin, which they believe is a big advancement in the areas of touch-sensitive robotics. They drew inspiration from how the human peripheral nervous system interprets signals from skin in order to eliminate the delays and power consumption of previous concepts. As soon as human skin receives an input, the peripheral nervous system begins processing it at the point of contact, reducing it to only the vital information before it is sent to the brain. That reduction of sensory data allows efficient use of communication channels needed to send the data to the brain, which then responds almost immediately for the body to react appropriately. To build an electronic skin capable of a computationally efficient synapse-like response, the researcher printed a grid of 168 synaptic transistors made from zinc oxide nanowires directly onto the surface of a flexible plastic surface. They then connected the synaptic transistor with the skin sensor over the palm of a human-shaped robot hand. The sensor registers a change in its electrical resistance when it is touched, with a light touch corresponding to a small change and a harder touch creating a larger change. Scientists said this input designed to mimic the way sensory neurons work in the human body. In earlier prototypes of electronic skin, that input data would soon be sent to a computer to be processed, where there would often be delays. But in this design, a circuit built into the skin acts as an artificial synapse, reducing the input down into a simple spike and speeding up the process of reaction. The team used varying output of that voltage spike to teach the skin appropriate responses to simulated pain, which would trigger the robot hand to react. By setting a threshold of input voltage to cause a reaction, the researchers found they could make the robot hand recoil from a sharp jab in the center of its palm. In other words, it learned to move away from the source of a simulated discomfort through a process of onboard information processing that mimics how the human nervous system works. The development of the electronic skin is the latest breakthrough in flexible, stretchable, printed surfaces from the University of Glasgow's Bendable Electronics and Sensing Technology, or BEST group, led by Professor Ravinder Daya, I believe it is. We all learn early in our lives to respond appropriately to unexpected stimuli like pain in order to prevent us from hurting ourselves again, he said. Of course, the development of this new form of electronic skin didn't really involve inflicting pain as we know it. It simply is a shorthand way to explain the process of learning from external stimulus. What we've been able to create through this process is an electronic skin capable of distributing learning at the hardware level, which would need to send messages back and forth to a central processor before taking action. Indeed, it greatly accelerates the process of responding to touch by cutting down the amount of computation required. We believe that this is a real step forward in our work towards creating a large circle neuromorphic printed electronic skin capable of responding appropriately to stimuli. Fengwan Liu, a member of the BEST group and a co-author of the paper, added in the future this research could be the basis for a more advanced electronic skin, which enables robots capable of exploring and interacting with the world in new ways, or building prosthetic limbs, this is where I was going to go, which are capable of near human levels of touch sensitivity.
Okay, for amputees. Gotcha.
Yes, exactly. Physical jobs in predictable environments, including machine operators and fast food workers, are the most likely to be replaced by robots. Management consultancy firm McKinsey, based in New York, focused on the amount of jobs that would be lost to automation. I don't know why that's in there, but that's in there. So anyway, so that's where I was thinking it was going with the article, that eventually amputees could get a limb that would actually feel.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene in is it Return of the Jedi, where Luke has his hand down after he got it cut off and they're poking it.
Yep.
His hands.
Yeah, and then he goes, ow, ow. And then because he can feel the probe hitting his hand. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's almost like they saw that scene as kids and went, you know what?
Hey, there's something there.
We think we can do that. Yeah, we think we can recreate that, which would be awesome to be able to do, because it's, there's a lot of amputees and, you almost hate to bring this up, but there's a lot of diabetics who, diabetes is running rampant in our country. And
my father-in-law was diabetic, and he lost his right leg below the knee and half his left foot because of it. And then he passed from other things, but
and with they say 10 years out from when you first acquire diabetes is when complications start. So with people who are losing limbs, to be able to get a prosthetic that has the ability to feel, especially a robotic limb replacement.
I wonder if that would help with the phantom pains, because he said that was the worst part, was the phantom pains, where there's pain in the limb that's not there. And I wonder if that would get rid of it, because you can, you see the limb there, obviously, because it's a prosthetic, but then the phantom pain comes on, you can touch it and feel feel you touching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you're able to somehow wrap a neural network within your own nervous system,
right?
But that's got to be a living neural network. It can't be just machine. There's got to be somewhere.
You're gonna have to incorporate actual human nerves within the machinery to lock up to your brain or whatnot.
Yeah.
There's got years off, but I can see where they're going with it.
Yeah. So
he used to always play a joke too, where he'd have his fake leg lean up against the wall, and if you bumped it, he'd scream, "Ow!" You'd react because you're, oh, sorry, oh wait, what? You're across the room. So with something like this, he could actually scream "ow" because it's feeling the pain.
Yeah, exactly. Our final story is even more unnerving. God, I can't believe I'm about to read this. Virtual babies who grow up in real time will be commonplace by 2070. This, according to experts.
What? What?
Virtual babies, Bruiser. The overpopulation crisis could be solved within 50 years thanks to the evolution of virtual children.
And then we have weren't those Tamagotchis as kids, where you had to feed it every day, you had to walk it?
Yes. We'll all have Tamagotchis by 2070. One of Britain's leading artificial intelligence experts claims this. Computer-generated babies that cost about $25 a month are likely to become commonplace by the early
yearly subscription for a child.
That's right. By the early 2070s, according to Catriona Campbell. In addition to her expertise in AI, Campbell is also one of the UK's top authorities in emerging and disruptive technologies and a former UK government advisor. She says by 2070, augmented reality and haptic touch-sensitive gloves will make the experience potentially lifelike. By that time, up to 1 in 5 parents may decide to opt for a digital baby over a real one, she believes.
Mom, Dad, you love the digital child more than you love me.
It will create what is being dubbed the Tamagotchi generation.
There it is. Yep.
The first cohort of environmentally friendly digital children who will not deplete the planet of any natural resources. Instead, they will exist only in the virtual metaverse, a sort of 3D internet, where they will grow up in real time and come to life at the touch of a button. How will virtual parenting work, you may ask?
I'm actually really curious, because do you have to log in every day to feed this thing?
I think you may have to. Parents will see and interact with their offspring through next generation AR glasses and haptic gloves. The devices will allow users to experience a realistic sense of touch when handling virtual or holographic objects. They will cost nothing to feed, take up no space, and remain healthy for as long as they are programmed to live. and they could be accessible through a Netflix-type subscription service for as little as $25 per month. While the concept may seem unpalatable, it represents a viable long-term solution to birth control without preventing people from having children, according to Campbell.
I don't think Campbell knows what birth control is. By the time you have the baby, the birth control has not worked.
You're right about that.
Yeah. That's not birth control then.
Right. An estimated 350,000 babies are already born worldwide each day, far outnumbering the number of deaths. But by the year 2100, it is estimated that the world's population could have exploded to 11 billion, with overcrowded megacities rife with crime, disease, and extreme food shortages. A 2020 YouGov study into why couples choose not to have children concludes that nearly 10% remain childless because of overpopulation concerns. Another 10% choose not to start a family because of the cost of raising a child. Campbell has recently inducted into the BIMA Digital Hall of Fame alongside Sir Tim Berners-Lee, Stephen Fry, and Dragon's Den star Stephen Bartlett for her work in human-computer interaction. Her predictions about the future of AI and its impact on humanity are detailed in her new book, AI by Design, A Plan for Living with Artificial Intelligence, which hits the shelves this week. Virtual children may seem like a giant leap from where we are now, but within 50 years, technology will have advanced to such an extent that babies which exist in the metaverse are indistinct from those who live in the real world, she says in a statement.
No.
No. No. As the metaverse evolves, she says, I can see virtual children becoming an accepted and fully embraced part of society in much of the developed world, based on studies into why couples choose to remain childless. I think it would be reasonable to expect as many as 20% of people choosing to have an AR baby over a real one, she continues. This will lead to the first fully digital demographic, which, although somewhat strange on first appearance, in fact represents what could be one of mankind's most important technological breakthroughs since the advent of the Bronze Age, gives its potential impact on global populations and societal change. Technology that lays virtual characters over the real world, known as augmented reality, is already hugely popular. It's a key part of the wildly popular Pokemon Go games, which superimpose cartoon monsters onto the real world through players' smartphone screens. And a proof of concept of virtual children already exists in the form of Baby X, an ongoing experiment by a New Zealand-based company, Soul Machines, to try and humanize AI so that it is more appealing for the public to interact with. At the rate AR and the metaverse is evolving, Campbell believes it is only a matter of time before it is used to create virtual children for couples that look, feel, and behave exactly like the real thing. Using CGI and advanced machine learning and algorithm-based technology already used by chatbots to interact autonomously with customers online, she believes these digital children will have photorealistic faces and bodies and will be able to recognize and respond to their parents using facial tracking and voice analysis built within an AR headset. They will be capable of speech and simulated emotional responses like a baby's coo, a child's giggle, and a teenager's back chat.
Great. So it's going to be a back-talking kid.
And possess a form of digital memory and other cognitive abilities. Digital children will likely exist in the metaverse, a computer-generated virtual world that can be thought of as a three-dimensional internet. Here, parents will be able to interact with their children in digital environments of their choosing, such as a living room or a sitting room, park, or a swimming pool. And thanks to high-tech haptic gloves, wearable devices that produce sensations like grasping an object or running your hand across a surface, they will be able to cuddle, feed, and play with their offspring at any time. Campbell also believes that parents will also be able to set their birth age from newborn to teenager and choose whether they grow up in real time or activate only on command. The child's temperature and physical features, meanwhile, will likely draw on images of parents and personality quizzes to ensure they look and behave in the same way they would if born biologically in the real world. Campbell, who is also instrumental in the launch of Sky's Red Button Interactive Services, believes digital children will become a commercial reality within 50 years and widely available on subscription-type services through a variety of specialist providers. She refers to them as the Tamagotchi generation because they are the natural evolved development of the 1990s digital toy lived on a keychain device. The pet had to be nurtured by the owner from being hatched to adult life. Owners who had to give Tamagotchis medicine when they were sick and clean up after they had been to the toilet. The state of the creature's happiness and hunger levels were indicated by meters, which had to be monitored frequently. The cyber tots of tomorrow will give people the chance to try parenting before committing to the real thing, and will provide an opportunity for those who cannot have babies naturally or who cannot afford them to still raise a child. They will also be in likely demand from ethically minded consumers who want the joys of parenthood without contributing to the world's growing population crisis. I don't know, Bruiser.
Yeah, I mean, Tamagotchis died during the 90s because people just ignored them.
Yeah, they were a fad until people got tired of them.
Yeah, and then, so what qualifies you as a parent? Well, I got 100% of my virtual child, so I'm ready for a real one. Like, no, that's not the way this works.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. Things happen in the real world. People die.
Yeah.
What happens if you're in the middle of raising a virtual child and you die?
You have to leave it in your will to the next person, just like a Tamagotchi.
That's weird, you know?
It is. Yeah, like, why would I want to bring on another person's child if they leave me as the executor of the child, you know?
Yeah. I don't get it.
I'm sure there's people out there that love this idea. I'm not one of them.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I would think if you're, I don't know, it's one thing to have a virtual pet. It's another thing to want to treat AI as a child.
And no offense, those personality quizzes, they vary. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get your personality 100% all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Interesting stuff.
I'll be curious to see, too, how many people want to share pictures and stuff. And it's like, that kid's literally just created from images of you and whoever. So, like, you could have a child with Charlize Theron. You just post your picture, post her picture, bam. Mm-hmm. You have a kid.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that law will work out, because our celebrities going to be like, hey, you can't use my image to make a child, you know?
Well, I'm sure the way they're going to do the process is you have to have a mate that you go in and make the child with, and you have to have permission from both people in order to make that.
This takes the fun out of making kids. They're taking the fun part out.
Well, then, you know, I think it would be hard to be a single parent with making that child too. Or if you make that child, it's strictly from your DNA alone. You know? So you can't use, if you don't go in with a partner to create that child, then the image is strictly from you alone.
Right. So it's the young you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting stuff.
It's interesting. It's funny to see where the technology is going. I'm just not behind it.
I just think it's weird. It's weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah. I would just as soon love a living animal than try to love a virtual child.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no offense, it said there, you know, can give practice to people before they have a real child. Nothing prepares you for a real child.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to have the real child, because guess what? Your virtual child, if it gets 100-degree fever, you're going to figure it out, because that's the programming. your real child, it's not as simple as just going in and they give your child medicine and they're healed. There's a process to it. So you're not going to learn that in a virtual child.
No. No, not at all. Not at all. Well, that does it for today's supernatural news. A bizarre ending to today's supernatural news. Oh, no, you know what? We forgot Parashare. We do have one more Parashare story. I do want to read that story real quick because it's interesting. And you know what? We shouldn't leave this one behind. So let's read this, shall we? Yes. It comes from Christopher. He writes, Dear Tim, I'm writing to get your thoughts on a quite profound experience I had in 2015, which is very similar to a story you described on a 2021 episode of Darkness Radio. In November of last year, it says, you and Dave did an episode of Darkness Radio called Hillbilly Horror Stories. It was actually just me. I don't think Dave was on that episode. During that episode, around 52 minutes in, you told the story about your grandfather's experience when he was ill and not many days away from death. That's correct. In the story, your grandfather described seeing a beautiful woman through the doorway of the bedroom out towards the living room and kitchen. Yes, he did. He described her as having dark raven-like hair, ruby red lips, and white alabaster-like skin. You explained that he told you that this woman... let me go back to where he said... you explained that he told you this woman spoke to him, telling him, you'll see me real soon, which she did. You also mentioned that the dog, Pedro, seemed to see this lady too. And the dog and your grandfather seemed to track the woman going through the wall and out of the house. Boy, you remembered every detail. It seemed from the way you told the story, the lady was visiting in a pre-death capacity. Essentially, yeah. You explained in the story you figured it was his first wife, Vivian. Yes, I do believe that that's who it was, yes. I don't know who or what that lady is or represents exactly, but I can tell you that I have seen her myself. When you started the story a fraction of a second ahead of when you described the woman, I thought, I wonder if she looked like what I saw. And when you described her, it sent a shiver through me. Now, when I saw this lady, I was not physically ill or near to death, for I am not aware of any, he says not that I'm aware of anyway. Instead, I was going through a period of depression and self-loathing in which I no longer wanted to exist. I would not necessarily describe myself as suicidal. Don't think that I wanted to take my own life, but I was in a state of mind where if someone had told me that they were going to kill me, then I would not have fought it. I can best describe it as wanting to not exist, to be erased from history, so that no one I'd ever been in contact with would have any memory of me. These feelings had come about due to the breakdown of my marriage, specifically because I had found myself in a situation of being no longer in love with my wife, something that had been building for a couple of years, in which I had chosen to live in denial of. And being in love with another woman, I had gotten to the point where I had finally faced up to the reality of how I felt and had decided I had to talk to my wife and begin the process of ending our marriage, as for me it had become unsalvageable. The reasons are many and complex, and I won't labor the issue here. Nevertheless, despite wanting to leave the marriage, the realization had sent me into a terrible depression and felt like I didn't know myself anymore. I never thought I could love anyone other than my wife, and the whole experience undermined everything I thought I understood about myself. That, coupled with the pain that this caused my wife, drove me to that dark place of not wanting to exist anymore. I wasn't in a frame of mind where I could rationally look at the situation at large and recognize my own hurt that had led to where we were as well. I just flat out hated myself and felt that everyone would be better off, my wife, my parents, the woman I had fallen in love with, if I simply never existed. That way I would never have been able to complicate their lives. In the weeks that followed, I went to bed one night and found myself extremely agitated. I couldn't relax. I felt trapped. I felt in despair. I wanted to disappear. As I lay in bed in the darkened room, curtains drawn, but with just a little diffused streetlight filtering through, I saw the wall opposite my bed open up. Through the wall, I saw what I can best describe as a nature scene. It was green. There were trees. It was like I was looking out of a window onto a beautiful country vista. It startled me, and I jumped out of bed. As I carried on staring, I saw a woman, long raven hair and alabaster skin. She wasn't quite close enough to absolutely see her lips as a bright ruby red, leaning against one of the trees. She seemed to be about 50 feet or so away from me, maybe a little more. Either she was not stood right in front of me. As I looked at her, she spoke to me, but not in a way as if she were stood in a room speaking to me. Instead, she spoke directly into my head. She spoke only 2 words: be calm. With those words, an incredible peace and tranquility came over me. I've never experienced feeling so relaxed and at peace. The wall closed up and the room pulsed twice with light, not unlike somebody turning a bulb on and off. Rather, imagine a pulse of light that went from gray to black, pulsing out in a wave, twice over, rather than something brilliantly illuminating. I stood for a moment, waiting to see what was going to happen next. The room stayed dark. I went to bed, laid down, and next I knew it was morning, like clicking your fingers and it's 7 hours later. So when you told the story of your grandfather's visitation, I was stunned and excited that someone else had seen this lady. However, it leaves me with more questions than I had before. Was that death? For the last 7 years, I've thought of her as an angel or maybe a spirit guide. How many other people have seen the same woman, whether near death like your grandfather or at a time of trauma as I was experiencing? Did I see heaven through that wall? A couple of years later, a work colleague told me about her father's experience of being near death in the hospital, and whilst he was dying, describing to her a scene in the same manner as I have described to you, albeit without any mention of the lady with raven hair, alabaster skin, and ruby lips. He ultimately pulled through, but I was told that he wept because he wanted to stay in that place. I've wondered many times why I received that visitation. Was it an intervention to try and help me steer clear of taking my own life? Several other events happened around that time. Over about a month, I had other experiences of a spiritual nature that were life-changing. I'm happy to tell you about them if you'd be interested, but I don't want to drag this letter out. If it was meant to keep me from killing myself, is that because there is something I'm supposed to do? Or was that intervention and the experiences that followed just done out of pure love and compassion? Overall, the question for me is, who is she? What do you think? Best wishes, Chris.
Wow, thank you, Chris.
So, Bruiser, I'm going to throw it to you first because I have an answer. I don't know if Chris is going to like it, but go ahead.
I think when we are in trauma, like he was, because he was essentially going through a reinvention stage. He was reinventing himself. He had ended a marriage that he thought, she was the one for him. Found out he loved someone else, so he was going through a transition, like a moth, a caterpillar into a butterfly type thing. And I think he was having that trouble, and something appeared to calm him. I've said on the podcast numerous times that when I'm extremely anxious or in a bad place mentally, my grandmother appears, and I don't know what she says. She says something, but it just takes everything away, and it makes me calm, and it makes life easier. Not easier, but tolerable. And I think that's what was happening with him, is I think something in the universe knew he needed relief. I think it's a coincidence it happened to be the raven-haired girl with the alabaster, that could just be a coincidence, the two of them. But I think that woman appeared to him in a way where it was non-threatening, mm-hmm. and it was in a way that so he could be calm. And I think the reason he saw the field and the forest and stuff is because it's peaceful. Yep. A lot of people can say they take forest walks and it's peaceful. You hear a babbling creek and it's peaceful. I think what it was is whatever was manifesting itself wanted him to be at peace 100%, and that's why it was that way. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. And like I said, I think we all have something that appears when we are at our lowest, mentally or physically, and you're just questioning everything. And I think because of the time period where he didn't know who he was, them saying stay calm was, hey, focus on the future, focus on you, you'll get through it. And he did.
Exactly. Chris, I think you misunderstood the meaning of my story and what was exactly going on with my grandfather at the time. My grandfather was in the process of dying. And what happens as we grow old, as we're going through that process of dying, when someone's dying from a chronic disease, the veil thins for them. A lot of people will tell you when you see somebody in hospice, as you see them slowly dying, the veil gets thinner. Sometimes they'll be in a vegetable garden. They'll be picking vegetables with a loved one that's been passed away for quite some time. They'll be in a boat. They'll be fishing with someone that's been maybe their brother that passed away years and years ago. Certain loved ones will come to them, their wife, their mother, their father, their uncle, different loved ones that they know will be there for them at the time that they'll cross over. But they'll show up in that month to 6 weeks before they pass to make things more comfortable for them. And that's essentially what happened when my grandmother Vivian came through. You have to understand what the relationship was between Vivian and Chester. When Vivian was dying of cancer. And Chester took care of Vivian to the very end. They had small children. They had teenage children, and they had my mom. My mom was very small. She was 5 at the time. I think she died when my mom was 7. And Vivian held on for a long time with cancer. It wasn't a quick death by any means. There is a lot of energy there. There's a lot of love, a lot of energy. And I think she stood there to let him know that she would be there much like he was there for her. I don't think you saw the same person. No, it wasn't the same person. There are a lot of women with raven hair, alabaster skin, and ruby lips. I think the person you saw was your spirit guide. Mm-hmm. It was definitely your spirit guide. And they're two different messages. The message that my grandpa Chester got was simply that there are people waiting and see you on the other side. The basic, I'll be there for you when it's your time, or I'll see you on the other side, is I'll be waiting. I'll be there. It's okay. The message you got was so much deeper and so much more. And that is, it's not your time. And there's so much more here. You're worth so much more than what you think. And there's so much you would be leaving. Not only is there so much you'd be leaving, but so much you'd be leaving behind. And you're worth so much more to these people that you would be leaving behind. And you'd be making such a wrong move by thinking that you need to disappear. And an impact needed to be made on you by this spirit guide, because obviously you weren't listening. That's the only way to put it. You weren't listening. You were in your own head, and you had your mind made up. And the only way to affect you is to have something otherworldly make an impression on you. And so what's going to gain your attention? Obviously, that woman with the dark hair, the alabaster skin, and the ruby red lips is going to gain your attention. and is going to put you through an experience that is going to change your mind, is going to give you a visitation that's going to make you think, and is going to show you a different way. Who is she? I think she's someone you could probably talk to this day. I think she's someone who you could probably say, you know what? I don't know who you are, but can you show yourself to me again in a dream? Can you reveal your name to me? Can we talk and can we meet again? And I think she'll show up, and I think you'll meet, and I think you'll talk. And I think, what's that?
I think she's shown up, and he just hasn't noticed too. Anytime that because that obviously he said that was his darkest time of his life.
Yeah.
But I think there's times where she's probably showing up in the background of dreams. If he goes back and thinks that when he was having angst or strife and a little bit of that doubt came into his mind, I'm sure she was probably somewhere, because like you said, he needed the big thing at that moment. I think she's still there in the background. If he goes back and thinks, he might have seen her, just not recognize her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And asking and talking to her, like you're saying, will bring her into that forefront.
I also want you to think, Chris, about how she was dressed. And I want you to think about family history. Because she might have been somebody from your own family, maybe a generation or two deep. Mm-hmm. It might have been an aunt. It might have been a grandmother. It might have been somebody who might have been from your family who reached in and tried to convince you that there's more. Mm-hmm. And that you need to maybe do some research yourself. I don't know if you're hooked in through Ancestry. I don't know if you've done 23andMe. I don't know if you've done any of those DNA tests or DNA ancestry tests. I don't know how close you are to your family. But maybe you need to figure out if that image you have in your head matches any of the familial pictures. And maybe you need to figure out if that person you saw on the other side is a person that lines up with your family. I think it would be really cool if it was my grandma Vivian that came to visit you and was your spirit guide. I think that would be the ultimate and cool. Unfortunately, I don't think it's her.
I don't think so either. I think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a coincidence. I can check my ancestry and see if we're related, but I honestly don't think that's the answer.
It would be really cool too if he went back and found some old timey photos, and there she was.
Exactly,
because I could answer his question. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No, it's not Vivian. It's so and so from my past.
Yeah, but the first thing I would do is just quiet down, try to meditate, ask that person to come through either while you're meditating or in your dreams, and reintroduce yourself to that person under a less tumultuous or time of turmoil, and get to talk to them again. Just talk to them again and figure out who they are. That's what I'd say. And see if you can get a name, and then start doing some research in this world and see if maybe you're not related to them, and get your answer that way. And you know what? If you never get an answer, then you know that it was just somebody on the other side who was there in your time of need.
Yep.
And they gave you the answer that you needed at the time. And take that advice and take it to heart, and know that you're somebody who is valued in this world, and you got that answer from the right place.
Yep.
And that there's more for you to do here. You're a valuable person. You're valued, you're loved, and you've got more to do. And your experience that we just read here is going to be an experience much like the experience that I read over the air and that you heard and it connected with you, this experience that I just read of yours is going to connect with somebody else, and it's going to save them.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, and if anybody's struggling with mental health, please reach out to somebody. Get some help, and talk about it. You know, like where everybody's worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he took it to heart when what happened, and it changed him for the better. It got him out of that funk.
Yeah, exactly. So, Chris, thank you so much for writing in. If you've got a Parashare experience that you want us to weigh in on or want us to read on the air, it's real simple. Just email me, tim@darknessradio.com, and we'll get your experience right here on the air. We're still working on getting a phone number together, and we'll get that together shortly. So if you want to call in and just leave your experience on the line, you can do that, and we'll get it together here soon. I also want to mention before we leave you on the air today that we got some big changes on the way, and it may happen sooner than later, like within the next week or two. Nothing to really worry about, folks. This isn't like an alarmist thing where you have to worry about the future of Darkness Radio or anything like that. It's real simple. If you're listening to Darkness Radio on, like, say, iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Play, you just keep listening the way you're listening right now. Nothing's changing. We're just staying right where we are. If you're listening via the Stitcher app, you may have to find another way to listen to us. That's all I'll say for now.
Cryptic.
Yeah, cryptic. But if you're listening via the Stitcher app, just find a different way to listen to us. You can listen to us via the Darkness Radio app, or you can listen to us via iHeartRadio app or Spotify, or a different way of listening to us. But we may shortly not be on the Stitcher app anymore, and maybe finding other avenues. We'll put it that way. So that's just a little hint from us to you. We got some big things coming up here in the future. We may be doing some giveaways, some exclusive giveaways, as in you're the only person who ever owns this type deal. Yeah. It's kind of like a physical 3D NFT, put it that way.
One of a kind.
One of a kind. You'll be the one of a kind winner of Darkness Radio merch, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Speaking of, tomorrow's show is a one-of-a-kind show in itself.
All right.
Tomorrow's show, we have Jim Harold back, but what we're doing is kind of something unusual. We noticed that when Jim Harold was on, boy, oh boy, did you guys respond. Jim Harold was on, and we had him on. We talked a little bit about Jim Harold's Campfire, Jim Harold's Paranormal Podcast, and you guys responded in a big way. You loved the stories that Jim Harold told. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to combine Jim Harold's Campfire and a little bit of Parashare, and we're going to show off Jim Harold a little bit, and he's going to provide us with some campfire stories tomorrow. So we're going to show off exactly what it is that Jim Harold does tomorrow here on Darkness Radio. So it's a little combination of Darkness Radio and Jim Harold's Campfire right here on Darkness Radio tomorrow. So that's going to be a little bit of a treat for you here on Darkness Radio tomorrow.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting and creepy all at the same time.
Exactly. A little creepy, a little enlightening, a little bit of pulling on the heartstrings too. There's some interesting paranormal stories there as well. So yeah, we're going to do something a little different tomorrow that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. So we're going to shake it up a little bit tomorrow, and we got some fun stuff next week as well. So guys, want to thank you very much for listening and continuing to listen to Darkness Radio. The numbers keep going up, and we really do appreciate you guys for being there. And just can't thank you guys enough for hanging in there and being a part of Darkness Radio and being a listener of Darkness Radio. We really do appreciate you. So tomorrow, Jim Harold right here on Darkness Radio. Thank you so much for listening to Supernatural News Wednesday right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This has been Darkness Radio.